Chapter 1346. The 11 people surrounded Ning Cheng's trio, and did not immediately make a move. A few of them even hesitated whether to retreat or not. In fact, since Ning Cheng and Xiao Xinxi killed Omo in a sneak attack, there was no leader here. Even the woman who had ridiculed Ning Cheng before was hesitating at this moment. She had ridiculed Ning Cheng because she was sure that Ning Cheng's trio couldn't escape under the siege of 19 third-step experts no matter how strong they were. Now that only 11 of the 19 had fallen, the number of Convergence Realm experts had decreased by half. Of these 11 people, no one had taken the lead, and several of them were still hesitating. It would have been strange if she didn't hesitate. Haha. A burst of laughter came from the void, and everyone looked at the void. Ning Cheng's heart sank. This person hadn't arrived yet, but his aura was already suppressing. This definitely meant that he was a top-level expert. It seemed that there was a problem with his strategy. He shouldn't have waited until there were only 11 people left. Originally, he wanted to wait for a few more people to leave, and then kill them all in one fell swoop. He didn't expect that 11 people wouldn't leave, but a more powerful one would come. As the laughter faded, a white-haired Taoist landed in front of everyone. Ning Cheng sighed. He had guessed correctly. This person was at least a peak Convergence Realm expert. This person had a solid Dao charm surrounding him, and he wasn't any weaker than Xiao Xinxi. In fact, he might even be stronger. When this white-haired Taoist arrived, everyone came forward to greet him. From this, one could tell that this person had a high status in the Heaven Gate realm. This is the strongest expert in the Heaven Gate realm, Mountain Gaze Dao Lord. He lives in a place called Mountain Gaze. I heard that you can only see the Mountain Gaze, but you can never reach it. Mountain Gaze Dao Lord rarely comes out, but every time he does, people will respect his words. Aokin whispered to Ning Cheng. The white-haired Taoist walked up to Ning Cheng and looked him up and down. Although Ning Cheng was very vigilant, he didn't make a move. Instead, he cupped his fists and said to Ning Cheng, Dao friend Ning really is an outstanding talent of my generation. Presumably, the other Dao friend Yi of the universe's pride duo is also a powerhouse. My name is Mountain Gaze Dao Lord. Although I live in Mountain Gaze, it's not the real Mountain Gaze but a fake mountain. Ning Cheng didn't feel any killing intent from Dao Lord Mountain Gazing, and politely cupped his fists. Ning Cheng greets Dao Lord Mountain Gazing. Dao Lord, do you want to keep us here? Dao Lord Gazing showed a slight smile, but didn't answer Ning Cheng's words directly. Instead, he turned to everyone around him and said, Dao friends, I didn't want to intervene in this matter, but I still came here today. Fellow Taoists in the Heavenly Gates realm all know that I live in the Mountain Gaze. In fact, the place where I live is not the real Mountain Gaze. I named it myself, because I yearn for the Mountain Gaze and have always wanted to go to the real Mountain Gaze. Mountain Gazing Dao Lord, please advise me. Qi Feng, who had come out of the Dragon Clan a long time ago, stepped forward in time and asked the white-haired Taoist with cupped fists. Dao Lord Mountain Gaze nodded. Why do we cultivate the Dao? Everyone had different answers in their hearts. But there's one thing that can't be erased, and that's that we cultivate for the sake of stepping foot onto the peak of the vast universe, to control our own destiny, to coexist with the heavens and earth, and to stand above the sun and moon. Ning Cheng also nodded. It was too tacky to talk about longevity. In fact, when one cultivated to this stage, what they wanted was not just longevity. In the vast universe, only by controlling one's own destiny and the laws of heaven and earth could one obtain freedom. Only then would one have the joy of longevity. But since the beginning of the universe's chaos, everyone in this vast universe has not been able to control their own destiny. We have to go through all kinds of heart demon tribulations, and all kinds of great Dao thunder tribulations to cultivate. We need to understand the laws of heaven and earth, and experience the decline of heaven and earth. Everything needs to be established under certain laws. When Dao Lord Mountain Gaze said this, Ning Cheng's heart resonated with him. He suddenly felt that this white-haired Taoist was not a simple person. He had spoken out the pursuit that he was ignorant about. That was, his great Dao did not need the thunder tribulations of heaven and earth, or the great decline. His spirit power did not need to understand the laws of heaven and earth. All the laws around him had to be created by him. This might be the ultimate pursuit of him. Lord Mountain Gaze paused and said in a slightly low voice, "To pursue this, we need to break through the vast universe we are in and set foot on it. In fact, this is not impossible. Those experts who have truly stepped into the third step have already felt how to do it. That's right, it's the Gate of Fortune. Only by opening the Gate of Fortune can we stand above the laws of the vast universe and control our own destiny." Lord Mountain Gaze's words silenced everyone. Many people had a vague concept of what Lord Mountain Gaze had said. However, this vague concept was not clear. It meant that they knew something, but what they knew was not perfect. Ningcheng already understood that Lord Mountain Gaze had not come here to fight but to mediate. In fact, he did not want to fight either. If he fought with so many experts, it would only deepen the hatred between them. Moreover, it was not necessary. These were all third-step experts, and each of them had their own realm. Even if he killed them, he would not get many spoils of war. Lord, please enlighten me." Ningcheng took a step forward. This time, he sincerely cupped his fists and asked for advice. Qi Feng had asked for advice the first time. This time, he was asking for advice. Lord Mountain Gaze sighed. "If you want to open the Gate of Fortune, you have to go through the Creation War. I'm not talented, but I barely witnessed the first Creation War. Because I wasn't qualified to enter the depths, I obtained the Decay Crossing treasure and survived." Lord Mountain Gaze, "I heard that the second Gate of Fortune will open in the Heaven Gate realm? Lord Mountain Gaze, please tell us." At this time, the grievances between the Ningcheng trio and the Heaven Gate realm experts were put aside. Most people were not concerned about this, but about the opening of the Gate of Fortune. Lord Mountain Gaze waved his hand. "I'm not sure where the second Gate of Fortune will open. I guess the reason why people say that the second Creation War will take place in the Heaven Gate realm is because of my residence. Only those who have participated in the Creation War know that the Gate of Fortune is behind the Mountain Gaze. I changed my residence to the Mountain Gaze, which might have caused some misunderstandings." Xiao Xinqi chuckled in Ningcheng's ear. "This old Taoist is right. The Gate of Fortune does open in the Mountain Gaze. The Mountain Gaze has this name because you can only see the mountain, but you can never reach it. That's why it's called the Mountain Gaze." Lord Mountain Gaze's tone gradually turned low. "In that case, doesn't that mean that we can only watch when the Gate of Fortune opens for the second time?" Someone immediately asked after Lord Mountain Gaze said this. Lord Mountain Gaze sighed and said, "In theory, that is indeed the case. However, all third-step experts must participate in the Creation War. If they don't participate, they will have to undergo the Heaven Decay and die. Therefore, the Creation Great War was actually a battle between a few peak powerhouses. We are cannon fodder and pawns." Ningcheng, who was the closest to Lord Mountain Gaze, frowned and asked, "Lord Mountain Gaze, I've been to the first Creation War. It was the Jiaoyang Mountain in the Jiaoyang realm. That place was filled with corpses and corpses of fallen experts. Since other people would only be cannon fodder if they went, what's the difference between them and not going to undergo the Heaven Decay and perishing?" Lord Mountain Gaze sighed again. "The difference is huge. Although the Creation War was only a battle between a few experts, those experts all had someone to rely on. However, those experts all have someone they can depend on. For example, you and I, once we depend on a supreme expert, once that supreme expert steps into the Gate of Fortune, we can also step into the Gate of Fortune and control our own destinies, overlooking the world." Ningcheng was stunned. He somewhat understood what Lord Mountain Gaze meant. This was equivalent to a subject following the emperor to conquer the country. Once the country was conquered, the subject would also be a feudal lord. However, since they were subjects, even if they controlled their own destiny, they would still be restricted by the emperor. They would only be under one person. Lord Mountain Gaze, do you mean that the experts who died in the Jiaoyang Mountain were the followers of those apex experts? Asked Ningcheng. Lord Mountain Gaze nodded and said, "That's right. However, in the first Creation War, the strength of the experts from all sides was equal, and those who relied on them did not realize that they were pawns. In the end, they were defeated and injured, and no one could enter the Gate of Fortune. The reason I came out today is that I feel that the second Gate of Fortune is about to open. Once the second gate of fortune opens and the creation war arrives, we will all be pawns. Why should pawns be pawns? Why should pawns be pawns? This was what Tao Lord Mountain Gaze really wanted to say. Ning Cheng subconsciously glanced at Xiao Xinxi. He finally understood why Xiao Xinxi wanted to follow him. It seemed that Xiao Xinxi saw him as a thick thigh and wanted to hug his thigh. When Xiao Xinxi saw Ning Cheng looking at her, she knew that Ning Cheng understood her thoughts and smiled awkwardly. Although it was not a shameful thing, she did not say it to Ning Cheng, which meant that she still had some doubts about whether Ning Cheng was the apex expert. Ning Cheng did not care about it. Since he was going to participate in the creation war, and he also had a creation treasure, he would definitely need some helpers. It was not a big deal for Xiao Xinxi to rely on him. Upon hearing Tao Lord Mountain Gaze's words, many people were a little terrified. Many people who did not know about the creation war fell silent. As for the more than 10 third-step experts who were ready to fight Ning Cheng, they had long lost the will to fight. Tao Lord Mountain Gaze said loudly, "Fellow Taoists, if I'm not wrong, the second gate of fortune will still open after the Jiaoliang mountain because the mountain gaze is there. The beyond of heaven and earth is the best way for us to go to the Jiaoliang mountain. Taoist Ning, as one of the people from the beyond of heaven and earth, I think we should work together. I heard that the beyond of heaven and earth is about to hold a battle to allocate realms. This is a good idea. Perhaps when the second creation war begins, we will have to join forces. Therefore, I hope that everyone will not engage in meaningless fights before that." Chapter 1347. Ning Cheng was not the only one who understood Mountain Tao Lord Wang's meaning. It was meaningless for them to fight now. When the gate of creation opened, they might all be subordinates of the same master. If they destroyed one now, they would have one less helper in the future. Moreover, according to Mountain Tao Lord's speculation, Heavens Beyond was very likely to be the only way to the gate of creation. It would not be good for the people of the Heavenly Gate realm to fall out with Ning Cheng, an expert from Heavens Beyond. Tao Lord Ning, I've offended you previously. I wonder if the Heaven Gate realm can participate in the realm division competition of Heavens Beyond? After Mountain Tao Lord Wang said that, a realm expert immediately cupped his fists and asked Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng also did not have any intention of staying in the Heaven Gate realm. Xiao Xinxi's and Mountain Tao Lord Wang's words made him eager to return to Heavens Beyond as soon as possible. No matter what, he had to enter seclusion after this realm division competition to improve his strength. Of course Mountain Tao Lord Wang is right. There's no need for us to fight here. Since the gate of creation is about to open, I have to go back. Fellow Taoists, see you again in Heavens Beyond." After Ning Cheng said that, he cupped his fists at Tao Lord Mountain Gazing and said, "I admire Tao Lord's prestige and knowledge. I wonder if you can come to the Heavens Beyond of heaven and earth to preside over this competition?" Mountain Tao Lord Wang laughed. "I've long wanted to go to Heavens Beyond. I naturally won't refuse Taoist Ning's invitation. I suggest that it would be best to have one person from each domain host the competition this time." Heavens Beyond Rest Inn was not only the best inn in Heavens Beyond, but it also had the best spirit tea house. At that moment, two young men were sitting opposite each other in the most luxurious tea house of the Heavens Beyond Rest Inn. One of them was Ning Cheng, who had just returned to Heavens Beyond, while the other was Sacred Tao Sect Master Yimo, who had just come out of seclusion. Tao runes circulated all over Yimo's body. In just 3 years, he had completely stabilized his cultivation level, and his strength had stabilized at the late-stage Tao integration realm. When Ning Cheng saw this, he couldn't help but secretly praise him in his heart. He really was worthy to be someone who cultivated a good fortune cultivation method. After Tao integration realm, he had been running around everywhere. Apart from stabilizing his cultivation level, his strength had not improved much. The Sacred Tao Sect Master had been in seclusion for more than 2 times stronger than he had been when he had killed Feng Xian. However, Ning Cheng quickly put this envy aside. In the future, when he reached the late stage of Tao integration, his strength would also reach this level. "There's still half a month before the battle. May I know why Tao friend Ning invited me here?" Yimo's tone was calm. He was also confused why Ning Cheng invited him here. Ningqing saw that Yemo didn't reprimand Yi Huangping as soon as he came and felt much better. If Yemo had asked him about Yi Huangping's matter, he would not have asked him. Even if it was possible that the creation magic treasure was a poison trap, he didn't intend to say it. Sect Master Yi, you have also been to Jiaoyang Mountain. You should have heard about the Great Creation War, right? Ningqing asked directly. Yes, I have indeed heard of the Creation War. I also know that every time the Gate of Creation opens, the Creation War is about to begin. Sect Master Yi, have you ever heard that the good fortune artifact that you and I obtained might have been deliberately thrown out? Ningqing immediately asked. What? Yemo suddenly stood up and stared at Ningqing. He did not see any tricks in Ningqing's eyes. He was shocked. Who would be stupid enough to throw away a creation magic artifact? Even if he had given up the abstruse yellow bead, he would not have been able to get it. Ningqing also stood up and said word by word. According to what I know, our creation magic artifact might have an owner. However, the owners of the creation magic artifact were all heavily injured after the first creation war. They knew that they didn't have the time or energy to perfect their creation magic artifact, so they threw it away. When someone with great fortune perfected the creation magic artifact, they would take it back. Then, the person who perfected the creation magic artifact would become the creation spirit of the creation magic artifact. Hearing these words, Yemo frowned slightly but didn't refute it. After reaching Dao integration tertiary stage, he had a strange feeling. Most of his god arts were learned by himself. It was said that creation cultivation method contained creation god art, but he hadn't learned any creation god art up until now. Because of this, he had a strange feeling that something was wrong. The person with great fortune you mentioned should really have great fortune, right? After a long while, Yemo asked. Ningqing said, I think so. Although the creation magic artifact has an owner, they threw it away and the creation magic artifact chose a new owner. It should have nothing to do with them. In other words, you and I became the owners of the creation magic artifact, because we were chosen by the creation magic artifact. It has nothing to do with the original owner. Yemo suddenly asked, Dao friend Ning, you have the creation abstruse yellow bead now. If it was you, would you let the abstruse yellow bead choose a new owner? Ningqing said decisively, Of course not. Since it's mine, it won't be touched by others. If the abstruse yellow bead dies, if I live, the abstruse yellow bead lives. Saying this sentence, Ningqing felt as if his mind was being poured with an unparalleled coolness. At this moment, the abstruse yellow bead fused with his will. Yemo laughed. That's right. Just like my golden page world, since it's mine, I won't throw it away. My world is in existence. It doesn't need any creation spirit. Those who let the creation magic artifact choose a new owner will forever lose the creation magic artifact and won't have the right to fight for the creation gate. If he wants to come, then come. Then, Yemo had the same feeling as Ningqing. His will and golden page world seemed to fuse even more. The two understood what was going on and smiled at each other before sitting down again. Ningqing also felt enlightened. If he wanted to rob it, then come. According to what I know, the creation war is coming. Dao friend Yi, what do you think? Ningqing asked. He didn't want to join forces with Yemo in the creation war. Since the first person to go in was the true ruler, he didn't want to be the second. He wanted to discuss with Yemo that they shouldn't fight before dealing with their opponents. Yemo clearly heard what Ningqing meant and smiled. I think the same as you. Heaven beyond heaven is where we can improve our power. In this place we can join forces with anyone who comes. Since it's the creation war, we can't avoid a battle. Then we'll fight after dealing with our opponents. Oi. Ningqing agreed to Yemo's proposal without hesitation. He knew that even without Yi Huangping, there would be a battle between him and Yemo. Both of them had creation magic artifact. No one wanted to give up the creation gate. He admired Yemo's character. If it was someone else, they would have killed him before he grew up. But Yemo didn't have any killing intent at all. This was a powerful confidence and broad-minded mind. Other than this, his heart was bright and clear. From a certain perspective, he was the same type of person as Yemo. If he was stronger than Yemo, he wouldn't fight first. unless Yimo's character was too bad and offended him. "Dad, you must not fight." At this moment, a desperate woman's voice sounded. Then a girl wearing a pale yellow dress charged in. "Yimo, why are you here?" Yimo asked in confusion. He wasn't surprised that Yimo could charge in. As a matter of fact, when Yimo arrived outside the room, he already knew. Yimo was his daughter. No one dared to stop her in the Heavens Beyond Rest Hotel. "You guys." Yimo looked at Ningcheng and Yimo in confusion. She could feel a powerful clash between the two, but there was no killing intent. Ningcheng smiled at Yimo. He finally realized who this woman was. She always said her dad was very strong, and now it seemed he was indeed very strong. He crippled Yi Huangping but saved Yimo's daughter a few times. What was this? "Let's go." Yimo pulled Yimo up and nodded to Ningcheng before leaving the room. Wait, after Yimo and that woman left, Ningcheng felt something wasn't right. Dad seemed to be a term of address only found on Earth. Why did this Yimo woman call him dad too? Ningcheng's thoughts only turned for a moment, before he understood what was going on. This should be because of Tian Muwan. That woman called Yimo and Tian Muwan were together, and naturally learned a few things. "Dad, you wouldn't fight with that Ningcheng, right?" Yimo was embarrassed to talk to Ningcheng in front of her dad, but she was very concerned about Ningcheng's situation. Yimo smiled. "Even if we were to fight, it wouldn't be here." Huh? Yimo was shook. What should she do? She couldn't let her dad fight with Ningcheng. By the way, Ningcheng also came from Earth. The beyond of heaven and earth had never been as lively as it was today. That was because the first round of the Heavens Beyond Realm Division competition would be held today. An alchemy battle. Although the realm of Heavens Beyond was going to be redivided, the inns in Heavens Beyond were not closed. Before the realms were redivided, these places still belonged to each of them. Even if the realms were redivided, perhaps these rest stops could be rented from the owners of the new areas. Plus, there were too many people in Heavens Beyond at this moment. Almost every rest stop was full. Heavens Beyond Square had been open long ago. It could hold tens of millions of people, but it was also full. Chapter 1348. The competition this time was divided into 5 segments. The first was a battle of techniques, the second was a battle of pills, the third was a battle of weapons, the fourth was a battle of talismans, and the fifth was a battle of formations. For a Starry Sky cultivator, each of the 5 segments was a great survival skill. In order to simplify things, the rules of the competition were that the top 3 in each segment would be awarded 100 points, the second 50 points, and the third 20 points. Each person could participate in up to 3 segments. As long as the participants from the same realm could obtain points, the points could be stacked, and the stacked points would become the total points of the realm. Ningcheng registered for magical powers, alchemy, and weapon battles. In fact, Ningcheng believed that he was most likely to win first place not in magical powers, alchemy, or weapon battles, but in Array Dao. However, he did not want to expose his true strength in Array Dao. Array Dao was different from alchemy and equipment Dao. At a critical juncture, it was likely to be a life-saving thing. Once he participated in the competition, even if he did not show his true strength, those Array Dao experts might be able to pry into his Array Dao technique from the details of his array formation. Since the Second Creation War was coming, it was naturally best not to expose such a trump card. The 5 segments were the final segment of magical powers. No matter when, strength was the most important, so magical powers were the final segment. The first segment was the Battle of Alchemy. Alchemy was a necessary auxiliary technique in cultivation. The second segment was the Battle of Weapons. Not everyone could have a connate Dharma treasure. Good Dharma treasures were artificially refined. Because of this, equipment Dao was an indispensable segment in the process of cultivation. The third segment was the Battle of Talismans. The Talisman Dao was the most mysterious skill. Anyone who could stand in the beyond of heaven and earth knew how to refine talismans. However, there were not many who could refine truly top-notch talismans. Therefore, talisman Dao experts were the least and the most inconspicuous. The fourth segment was the Battle of Formations. The Array Dao was the most mysterious segment of the 5 segments. This was because array Dao experts could even kill strong enemies without making a move. This segment was placed at the back, second only to magical powers. Apart from the battle of formations and magical powers, the other three segments used their own materials. The Beyond of Heaven and Earth did not provide any battle materials. Under Dao Lord Mountain Gazing's suggestion, there were 7 judges for this competition. Each of the 7 realms that intersected with Heavens Beyond would have 1 judge. The Jiaoliang realm was not considered a big realm, because the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth had a close relationship with the Jiaoliang realm. In addition, the current Heavenly Lord of the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth, Feng Huangmei, was from the Jiaoliang realm. The Jiaoliang realm also had a judge, and that was Heaven Lord Feng Huangmei. The other 6 judges were Daolord Mountain Gaze of the Skygate realm, Daolord Miruan of the 3 Elements realm, Daolord Liao Qianluo of the 9 Heavens realm, Daolord Fei Yin of the 7 Aqua realm, Daolord Jialanfeng of the Longevity realm, and Daolord Shenemo of the Innocuous realm. Apart from Feng Huangmei, the weakest among the 6 was at the early stage of the Unity realm. At that moment, the competition platform above the Heavens Beyond Square had already been set up. There were defensive restrictions around the platform that could only be observed with one's eyes and not with one's spiritual consciousness. As the current Heavenly Lord of the Beyond of Heaven and Earth, Feng Huangmei was the first to fly and land in the middle of the competition platform. As Feng Huangmei appeared, the Heavens Beyond Square instantly fell silent. Feng Huangmei felt emotional. In terms of cultivation level, his cultivation level was really nothing in the current Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth. Due to the strength of Ning Cheng and Yemo, as well as the negotiation with the surrounding major realms, this competition had become peaceful. Even he had become one of the most influential figures in the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth. Fellow Taoists, it's my honor to be able to stand here today. In terms of cultivation level, there are countless people who are stronger than me. I only have the opportunity to stand here and talk to everyone because I came to the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth earlier. On behalf of the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth, I welcome any friend with goodwill to come here. At this point, Feng Huangmei raised his voice. Many of you here are fellow Taoists who have been cultivating hard. In order not to waste your time, I announce the official start of the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth's competition. The first round of the competition is the alchemy battle. Let me reiterate that apart from redividing the realms of the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth, this competition is also to enhance the friendship between the major realms. No one took Feng Huangmei's words seriously, even though many reclusive experts had guessed that the Second Creation War was coming. However, there was obviously no friendship involved in this competition. Occupying a piece of territory in the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth would be the most advantageous, no matter which plane the Creation Gate would reopen in the future. The person presiding over the alchemy battle was Fei Yin from the 7 Aqua realm, an early-stage integration realm expert, and a Dao integration alchemy saint. After Feng Huangmei retreated, he landed on the competition platform and greeted everyone on the Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth with cupped fists. Then he said loudly, "There are a total of 706 people participating in the alchemy battle. There is no round limit for this alchemy battle. We only need to decide the top 3. The alchemy battle will begin now. The first round will be the void. I hope I'm not late." A cold voice interrupted Fei Yin before 2 people appeared from the void. The ones who appeared were 2 women. The woman at the back had a very weak cultivation base. Under the protective domain of the woman in front, she was unable to withstand it. Xingxi? As soon as Ning Cheng saw the woman who had spoken, his eyes twitched and the creation divine spear on his back buzzed. "This is a peerless expert," Xiao Xingxi, who also sensed it, whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. "She's Xingxi, the woman with the green lotus of creation. She put away the green lotus of creation today. There might be another battle later," Ning Cheng said to Xiao Xingxi with a solemn voice transmission. Xiao Xingxi licked her lips. She had heard that Xingxi was powerful, so she had long wanted to give it a try. At the moment, Ning Cheng was not worried. With Yemo here, Yemo would definitely make a move when the battle started. Compared to when they had joined forces in the past, he and Yemo were now several times stronger. Back then, Yemo had been at the early stage Tao integration realm, and he had been at the late stage primordial chaos realm. Now he was at the early stage Tao integration realm, while Yemo was at the late stage Tao integration realm. Their Tao runes had condensed. Together with Ao Kan and Xiao Xinxi, he did not believe that they could not stop a woman. Before the competition began, the integration realm experts who presided over the competition from the other realms had also promised each other that if anyone dared to stop the competition, everyone would attack. Other people didn't matter, but that mountain gaze Tao Lord's power wasn't ordinary. If Xingxi dared to make a move today, then Ningcheng would welcome it. Ningcheng looked at Yemo and Yemo looked back at Ningcheng. Although neither of them said anything, the killing intent had already surrounded the two. It could be seen that Yemo wanted Xingxi to make a move now. Fei Yin wasn't a reckless person. The way Xingxi appeared was too strange. Even he, a integration realm primary stage, couldn't see it. This showed that Xingxi was far stronger than him. As for the eternal realm tertiary stage woman standing next to Xingxi, she was ignored by him. Fellow Taoist, this is the Black-Yellow Grand Tournament. If you'd like to watch the battle, please take a seat at the side. Fei Yin cupped his fists and said in a neither haughty nor humble manner. After saying that, he looked at Mountain Gaze Tao Lord and the others. Without needing Fei Yin to speak, Mountain Gaze Tao Lord and the others already stood up. Ningcheng looked at the woman next to Xingxi in confusion. He also knew this woman. When he went to Everlasting Sacred Shrine, Jingyi told him that this woman's name was Xu Chang, the new saintess of 9 Plate Star Continent's Everlasting Sacred Shrine. She was also a disciple of Everlasting Sacred Shrine's Seeking Intelligence. When he killed Seeking Intelligence and destroyed Everlasting Sacred Shrine's Everlasting Sacred Tree, this woman had been watching from the side. Ningcheng didn't expect this woman to be so muddle-headed. In the blink of an eye, she became a powerhouse like Xingxi and reached the late-stage Eternal Realm. Xu Chang didn't seem to see Ningcheng, or if she saw Ningcheng, she pretended not to see him. She just lowered her head and followed behind Xingxi. Regardless of whether Xu Chang would seek revenge on him or not, Ningcheng didn't care. He also flew to the battle stage. Regardless of whether he had to fight Xingxi or not, he had to come to this battle stage. As soon as Ningcheng landed on the battle stage, Mountain Gaze Tao Lord's voice reached Ningcheng's ear. Tao Lord Ning, I know the Xingxi. During the Creation War, she had been by Sacred Leader Green Lotus side. I didn't expect her strength to be so strong that she could directly tear apart the realm of heavens beyond. I'm far from being her opponent. Hearing this, Ningcheng thought of Xu Chang. The role Xu Chang played seemed to be the same as the role she played beside Tao Lord Green Lotus. Yemo also flew to the battle stage. Although the other contestants hadn't come up yet, Xingxi still felt the oppressive aura. She didn't care and smiled faintly. Since it's a regional competition of heavens beyond, as a Tao cultivator of this universe, I'm naturally qualified to participate in the competition. Therefore I have to participate in this round of alchemy. By the way, my name is Xingxi. Don't make a mistake when you calculate the ranking. Fei Yin subconsciously looked at Mountain Tao Lord gazing. In fact, it was Mountain Tao Lord gazing, Yi Ning, and the other two who had planned for the competition to be held without any obstruction. Mountain Gaze Tao Lord said faintly, since you're here to participate in the competition, you're naturally allowed. After hearing Mountain Gaze Tao Lord's words, Fei Yin said to Xingxi, since you're here to participate in the competition, of course you're allowed. Then Fei Yin didn't say anything more to Xingxi. Instead, she said to everyone, due to a small matter, we had to stop for a while. Now the competition will continue. The first round is Void Pill Refinement. The pill to be refined is Slaughter Pill. The time for pill refinement is 1 day. Prepare your own divine spirit herbs. All contestants, please come on stage. The battle will begin now. Void Pill Refinement meant that one didn't need a pill cauldron for pill refinement. This method of pill refinement was extremely difficult for ordinary people. However, those who could stand here and participate in the competition were all powerhouses. Without a pill cauldron, there would basically be no problem. The only problem was that everyone felt that this alchemy battle wasn't just about the alchemy Tao. It was also a competition of strength. The slaughter pill's level wasn't high for the people here. It was just a type of Tao essence Tao pill. To concoct such a pill, one needed to fuse one's own killing intent Tao waves. When fighting with others, using the slaughter pill could directly increase one's killing force and killing intent. It could be said that when two pill divines of the same power concocted the slaughter pill, the one who was stronger would have a stronger effect. Chapter 1349. The competition stage was very spacious and could accommodate 1,000 people at the same time without being crowded. Although there were more than 700 people who signed up, only 600 of them could actually fight on the stage. Because of their own materials, not every alchemist participating in the alchemy battle could come up with the materials for the slaughter pill. Once they couldn't come up with the materials, they would automatically be eliminated. In this kind of competition, there was no such thing as fairness or unfairness. The main divine grasses needed for the slaughter pill were the brilliant bone grass, the broken mountain vine, and the impermanence heavenly tendon. Although these materials were precious, there weren't many alchemists in this place who couldn't come up with them. Which alchemy battle on the mysterious yellow heavens beyond competition stage wasn't a powerhouse? Not to mention the spiritual medicine garden. Even in the spiritual medicine world, everyone probably had one or even a few. Although Ningcheng had a few large spiritual medicine gardens in the mysterious yellow bead, he wasn't considered rich in this place. Kid, you should know where my remaining good fortune azure lotus petal went, right? When everyone took part in the competition, Xingxi walked up to Ningcheng and asked in a cold tone. Ningcheng frowned. He had guessed that Chu Wujian's weapon evolved from the good fortune azure lotus petal, and knew that the good fortune azure lotus wasn't perfect. But how did Xingxi know about this? More than a year ago, I felt the aura of the good fortune azure lotus petal. Although it was only for a moment, I definitely didn't sense it wrong. Moreover, I also felt your aura next to the aura of the good fortune azure lotus. You should have obtained the petal of the green lotus of creation, right? Hand over the good fortune azure lotus petal. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Xingxi's tone carried a hint of killing intent. Ningcheng secretly cursed at his bad luck and said in an equally cold tone, I don't have the good fortune azure lotus petal. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. While speaking, Ningcheng raised his hand and the good fortune divine spear appeared between him and Xingxi. He couldn't explain why the good fortune azure lotus petal was with Chu Wujian. At the same time, he didn't want Xingxi to perfect the good fortune azure lotus. As soon as Ningcheng brought out the good fortune divine spear, it immediately attracted a lot of attention. Xingxi glanced at Ningcheng but didn't move. Instead, she turned to the other side and shot out a flame, ready to concoct the pill. Ningcheng understood that Xingxi didn't want to let him go, but she didn't dare to do anything here. Even if she was stronger, she wouldn't be able to get away with it if she fought here. Since Xingxi didn't move, he had no reason to do it. Putting away the fortune divine spear, Zhang Xian summoned a ball of flames as well. At the same time, he also understood why Xingxi had come looking for him. It seemed like she had come specifically for him. But when he came here and saw the competition, he decided to join in. Time it divine holy flame were up. It was actually the nameless sacred flame. There was no one who didn't want this kind of flame. Holy up with divine was, she had up with she firmly, time comma, she, determined, with good. Fortune T with time with divine time, when Ning with time with she wouldn't make the same mistake of chasing Yimo on Ningcheng. Everyone's attention only lasted for a short time. When everyone started to refine the slaughter pill, the entire stage was quickly surrounded by killing intent, and the powerful killing aura almost materialized on the stage. The slaughter pill needed to contain killing intent. With 600 or 700 people refining the slaughter pill at the same time, the killing intent contained in it was naturally majestic. Ningcheng had already tried refining pills without a furnace. It was just like when one didn't use a weapon furnace to refine an elixir. The elixir that was refined contained a wild and violent nature. This kind of pill wasn't suitable for cultivation, but it was perfect for refining the slaughter pill. Although the primordial Tao pill was precious, It wasn't complicated for Ning Cheng. However, when Ning Cheng refined the slaughter pill, he didn't just use the few main god spirit grasses from the original pill recipe. He changed the main god spirit grasses into 4. In addition to the brilliant bone grass, broken mountain vine, and impermanence heavenly tendons, he also added a material, sea burial astral sand. The sea burial astral sand wasn't an alchemy material, but an artifact crafting material. When refining a weapon, adding the sea burial astral sand could enhance the killing aura and killing power. Although it couldn't improve the weapon's grade, it could improve the weapon's combat power. The reason why Ning Cheng added the sea burial astral sand was because he guessed that the second round would be in pill battle. Otherwise, no one would have refined such a simple pill like the slaughter pill in the first round. Because refining such a pill, even if one refined it in the void, it wouldn't eliminate a true alchemy powerhouse. Ning Cheng also knew that he wasn't the only one who could guess the second round of the pill battle. Most people could guess that the second round would be in pill battle. Since they could guess that the second round would be in pill battle, everyone would at most integrate a stronger killing intent and slaughter Dao charm when refining the slaughter pill. There weren't many alchemists like Ning Cheng who could add the sea burial astral sand to the slaughter pill. Even if someone could join in, they probably wouldn't be able to finish refining the slaughter pill within an hour. Adding the sea burial astral sand to the pill refining material was extremely difficult. Ning Cheng's pill Dao level had touched Dao integration pill divine state, and he was also a top-grade forgery master. Although it was difficult to add the sea burial astral sand into a Dao essence Dao pill, it wasn't impossible. Originally, Ning Cheng only needed 15 minutes to finish refining the slaughter pill, but because he added the sea burial astral sand, Ning Cheng used 15 minutes to finish. 2 incense sticks of time to concoct a cauldron of slaughter pill wasn't slow at all. When Ning Cheng put away the flame and pill spell and looked at Xingxi, he saw that Xingxi had already finished and was staring at Yemo. Ning Cheng immediately realized that the first person to finish refining the slaughter pill wasn't him nor Xingxi. It was Yemo. 2 hours passed quickly, and when Fei Yin stood on the stage and announced that it was time for pill concoction, everyone had finished. Other than a few who failed, more than 90% of the alchemists had completely refined the slaughter pill. Fei Yin stood on the stage and saluted with her fists. The first round is over. We will now proceed to the second round. All pill saints, please open the jade bottles of the slaughter pills you have refined and place them on the stage, then withdraw from the stage. The second round was indeed a pill battle. Just like Ning Cheng, the contestants didn't have any objections. Clearly, everyone had guessed what the second round would be. As the contestants left the stage, the restriction on the stage was activated again. Fei Yin threw a few formation flags onto the stage, and a berserk murderous chi started to spread on the stage. In just a few breaths of time, the many jade bottles placed on the stage began to sway as one slaughter pill after another rushed out of the jade bottles, emitting waves of slaughter aura. This murderous chi soon covered the entire stage. Those slaughter pills that didn't have time to rush out of the jade bottles were smashed by the murderous chi of the pills that rushed out first. It was a pill battle indeed, much more exciting than pill concoction. Thousands of pills were strewn all over the competition stage, and each pill represented a pill refiner's killing intent. From time to time, these pills would give off bursts of murderous Dao charm, as if they wanted to smash apart the surrounding pills. Some of the pills, when they were about to break apart, even rushed towards the other pills. Even if they were about to break apart, they still wanted to smash apart the other pills. Although it was only a pill battle, but the roars of the murderous chi caused the restrictions on the stage to shake. Although it was obviously a pill battle, but it carried with it a kind of metal clashing sound. All the spectators felt as if they were not looking at thousands of pills fighting each other on the stage, but rather thousands of soldiers and horses fighting each other. However, everyone was clear in their hearts that in a pill battle, it was not enough to rely on the strength of the slaughter pills that they refined. Pills themselves did not have any spiritual wisdom, and this kind of chaotic battle meant that the opponents of each pill were not fixed. As a pill, perhaps it would just kill off a pill next to it, but would end up being bombarded by the murderous chi of another pill. Therefore, in this kind of pill battle, in addition to the pill itself being powerful, it also required a certain amount of luck. Luck had always been a kind of strength. Only those extremely high-grade and powerful slaughter pills would instinctively try to avoid the murderous qi that they could avoid. Ning Cheng could feel that his 12 pills were invincible, smashing apart all the surrounding pills that wanted to attack him, causing him to feel slightly relieved in his heart. The effect of the sea burial astral sand finally manifested. This murderous qi definitely did not come from the slaughter pills alone. The murderous qi of the slaughter pills on the stage permeated through the stage, causing some of the spectating holy emperors to feel a little scared. In the face of thousands of such powerful murderous qi, even if a person with a slightly weaker cultivation went up, they would most likely be torn apart by these pills. Dao charm explosions, and the sound of metal clashing reverberated throughout the stage. However, the number of slaughter pills on the stage kept decreasing. Originally, there were thousands of slaughter pills, but at this moment, there were only less than 100. As the roars of the Dao charm explosions weakened, the spectators quickly discovered that the remaining slaughter pills' murderous qi grew even stronger. Moreover, there was another extremely strange scene. Among the more than 100 surviving slaughter pills, more than 80 slaughter pills were suspended in various corners and did not continue to participate in the battle. And in the middle of the stage, there were close to 20 slaughtering pills, surrounding another 10 slaughtering pills, still fighting. Some people thought that they were seeing things, but when they looked carefully, they found that it was indeed the case. The 30 slaughter pills on the stage seemed to have a spiritual nature, forming two factions. Among them, the 20 pills on the periphery were one faction, while the 10 pills in the middle were the other faction. Waves after waves of killing qi were released from the 20 slaughter pills on the outer perimeter, exploding towards the 10 slaughter pills that were surrounded. At the same time, the 10 slaughter pills also exuded a powerful murderous qi, which clashed with the incoming murderous qi of the Dao charm. This murderous qi formed a whirlpool-shaped space, blowing away all the slaughter pills on the periphery. In the end, it formed a situation where the 30 slaughter pills fought here, while the remaining slaughter pills watched from the side. Chapter 1350. Ning Cheng subconsciously glanced at Yemo. He knew that Yemo must have added other materials like him when he was concocting pills. Otherwise, there wouldn't be 10 pills left now. At the same time, Xingxi also added other materials into her pill concoction. Ning Cheng sighed helplessly. No one with a fortune treasure was weak indeed. Now each of them had 10 pills left, but he and Yemo's slaughter pill were working together. This was caused by his will when he was concocting pills. It could be seen that Yemo also added the will to get rid of Xingxi's pill when he was concocting pills. The stage was isolated by restriction, and no one's spirit sense could interfere. Kacha, one of the 30 medicinal pills, broke into pieces. Ning Cheng's heart sunk. This shattered pill was his. Before he could react, there were two more cracks. Yemo's pill and Xingxi's pill each shattered. Ning Cheng knew that the strongest person in this tournament was Xingxi. Next was the Divine Dao sect leader Yemo. His power was ranked third. Just as he had expected, the slaughter pill not only competed in pill concoction, but also cultivation level. From this, it could be seen that Xingxi was probably the strongest in terms of pill concoction power alone. At this moment, Ning Cheng was very worried. Time was almost up, and the three of them each had 9 pills. If he couldn't get rid of one of Xingxi's pills, then he might be ranked third or tied with Yemo for second. He couldn't let Xingxi get first. However, Ning Cheng couldn't control his slaughter pill to attack Xingxi's Dao pill. The slaughter pill in the middle of the battle platform seemed to have understood Ning Cheng's thoughts, as the murderous aura suddenly turned violent, rolling up a whirlpool of aura as it rushed toward Xingxi's pill. At the same time, Yemo's 9 slaughter pills also erupted. Kacha! Another sound of a pill shattering rang out. Pills were pills after all. No matter how strong the slaughter qi was, it still lacked power in a real clash. Ning Cheng rejoiced. This time, it was Xingxi's pill. Xingxi only had 8 slaughter pills. If he and Yemo attacked with their slaughter pills, Xingxi would be kicked out of first for sure. Xingxi's slaughter pills seemed to know that the situation wasn't good. They suddenly dispersed and rushed out of the encirclement. The scattered pills immediately stirred up the slaughter pills refined by the other cultivators. The slaughter pills were originally hiding at the side of the stage, but after this disturbance, the slaughter chi in the stage once again spread out. Even though the slaughter pills at this time had become even fewer, the slaughter pills that were left behind were the few that had the strongest slaughter chi. The sounds of pills shattering became more frequent, and after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Fei Yin suddenly threw down the array flag. The murderous aura on the stage suddenly slowed down, and the pills that were tangled together slowly separated and fell on the jade plate that had been prepared in advance. There were a total of 7 jade plates floating in the air. The first and second jade plates had 7 pills on them respectively, while the third jade plate had 6 pills. The fourth jade plate only had 2 elixirs, while the other jade plates only had 1 elixir each. Ning Cheng breathed easy. He knew that he only had 7 pills left. Xingxi still had 6 pills left under his and Yi Mo's slaughter pills. This woman was too strong. Indeed, Fei Yin stood on the stage and announced, "The second round of the pill battle has ended. There are 7 pills concocted by Pill Divine left. Because we're only taking the top 3, the Pill Divine with the first 4 jade plates please come on the stage." Ning Qing stepped onto the stage and saw other than Yi Mo and Xingxi. There was also a white-haired old man he had never seen before. This white-haired old man seemed to be at creation state. His long white hair made him seem to have the immortal chi of the longevity god. The white-haired old man stood next to the jade plate that only had 2 pills left. Clearly he concocted these 2 pills. "Now I announce the first place of the first round is 2 people, Yi Mo and Ning Cheng. Second is Xingxi. Third is Liao Geng Daoist." As Fei Yin's announcement sounded, the first round of the pill battle ended. There were 2 people in first place, Ning Cheng and Yi Mo. The second place was that woman who suddenly joined. Third was an old man many people didn't know. He was called Liao Geng Daoist. Ning Cheng knew very well that his attainments in the Tao of Alchemy could only rank 3rd here, while this woman named Xing ranked 1st. Not only Ning Cheng knew this, but the judges also knew this. But no one would stand up and say anything. This woman was an uninvited guest. The first pill competition ended in less than a day's time. One could see that the purpose of this competition was to quickly divide the realms of heaven beyond. Xingxi didn't say anything and just grabbed the pills she concocted and asked Fei Yin, "What's the second round?" Fei Yin already knew that Xingxi wasn't simple, so he quickly answered, "The second round is forgery battle. The host is Shou-Yi Realm's Dao friend Helan Feng." Helan Feng landed beside Fei Yin and nodded to Xingxi. Then he cupped his fists and said, "Fellow Taoists, everyone knows that having a good Dharma treasure is a guarantee for a starry sky cultivator's life. Now let's move on to the second round, which is the forgery battle. I'll host the forgery battle. I'm Helan Feng from Shou-Yi Realm. There are a total of 921 people who signed up for the forgery battle." Xingxi interrupted Helan Feng and said, "I will also participate in the battle of tools." Then she turned around and flew off the stage. This woman was really arrogant. This was Helan Feng's only impression of her. He knew that she was very powerful. If she wasn't, Mountain Gaze Dao Lord wouldn't have accommodated her. Dao friends, the second round also has no round limit. The final goal is to decide the top 3. When Helan Feng announced on the stage, many people who were participating or watching already knew that there wouldn't be too many rounds. There definitely wouldn't be too many rounds for dueling weapons. It was just like pill duels only had 2 rounds to decide the winner. At the moment, it was better to decide the top 10 as soon as possible. This was purely a competition for points and not a competition to verify one's alchemy or blacksmithing abilities. Before the competition in Heavens Beyond, we said that we wouldn't provide any materials for this competition. However, we'll provide materials for the first round of blacksmithing. Ning Cheng was a little puzzled by Helan Feng's words. Even though he didn't know the content of the competition, he knew that it wasn't really a test of strength, but to determine the ranking. Since they were providing materials, it was really a competition of strength. Everyone was using the same kind of material. Naturally, those who were capable would be ranked at the top while those who were incapable would be ranked at the bottom. Upon seeing the discussion going on below the stage, Helan Feng simply waved his hand and threw nearly 1,000 fist-sized things. These things floated in the void of the stage. Were these Dharma treasure fragments? Ningqing immediately recognized these things at a glance. He had seen too many such Dharma treasure fragments back in the Jiaoliang Mountain's Heaven-Earth Divine Tomb. Although the Dharma treasure fragments thrown out by He Lanfeng were fragmented, their Dao runes were crisscrossing, showing that their levels were not low. These were fragments of a top-notch Dharma treasure. It was unknown whether He Lanfeng had provided these Dharma treasure fragments, or the 7 people who hosted the competition had provided them together. While Ningqing was still puzzled, He Lanfeng continued. These Dharma treasure fragments were provided by Dao Lord Mountain Gaze of the Heavenly Gate Realm, who participated in the First Creation War. He also picked up these Dharma treasure fragments from the battlefield of the First Creation War. Most importantly, He Lanfeng deliberately paused before continuing. Most importantly, these Dharma treasure fragments are from a Dharma treasure. The quality of this Dharma treasure can even surpass any divine weapon. Although it can't be compared to a Khanate Dharma treasure, it's second only to a Khanate Dharma treasure. Upon hearing this, everyone was secretly shocked. An existence second only to a Khanate Dharma treasure had actually been blasted into pieces. There were even 1,000 fragments. Just how powerful was the Dharma treasure that bombarded this Dharma treasure? The first round of the artifact duel is for each person to obtain a Dharma treasure fragment. Then, based on the aura of the Dharma treasure fragment, you have to find out what the Dharma treasure was like before it broke, and what its main function was. The second round is to refine the Dharma treasure fragment you obtained, and extract the materials used to refine the Dharma treasure. The purer the materials, the higher the score. Hearing He Lanfeng's words, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Not only the people participating in the artifact duel, but even the onlookers also sucked in a breath of cold air. Even those who didn't understand artifact crafting knew that once the materials were melted and started to refine the Dharma treasure, the materials would start to change. Moreover, different flames and different spiritual consciousnesses would cause different changes to the Dharma treasure. Sometimes even a small difference could cause a huge change in the materials. Because of this, people could use the same materials to refine different things. Some people could even refine Dharma treasures with completely opposite effects. Although it was difficult to identify the original form of the Dharma treasure fragment, it was still possible. Extracting the original materials from the fragments was simply too difficult. Ningqing also felt speechless. This was the most difficult question he had encountered since he participated in the various artifact duels. Fortunately, this question came up during the artifact crafting round. If Fei Yin had taken out a medicinal pill during the alchemy round, and asked him to restore the divine grass, he would have directly admitted defeat. Directly admitted defeat? Ningqing suddenly recalled Dao Lord Mountain Gazing's words. What was the purpose of cultivation? To set foot at the peak of the vast universe and control one's own destiny. His Grand Dao was the primal chaos unification. If he cultivated his Grand Dao to the extreme, the entire vast universe would be under his control. Wouldn't he be able to restore a Dharma treasure fragment to its original form with just a raise of his hand? Not to mention Dharma treasures, even medicinal pills could be restored to the state of spiritual grasses, as long as one had that kind of spiritual power. No matter how many changes a material went through, its original form would never change. Chapter 1351. As He Lanfeng announced the start of the blacksmithing competition, nearly 1,000 contestants boarded the competition platform. Ningqing also flew to the competition platform, and thousands of fragments floated above it. Ningqing glanced at them, and subconsciously felt that one of the ear-shaped fragments seemed to have a familiar aura. Without thinking much about it, Ningqing walked past the fragments around him and grabbed the ear-shaped fragment. Unexpectedly, before he could grab the ear-shaped fragment, an aura instantly rushed over. Ningqing did not need to observe to know that it was Xingxi. Without thinking much, Ningqing grabbed the ear-shaped fragment and took out the creation divine spear. This woman still hasn't given up. Is she going to plot against me? Give me the fragment in your hand. I like this kind of fragment. Xingxi did not attack Ningqing. Instead, she looked at him calmly and said. Seeing that Xingxi didn't want to kill him, but came here for this fragment, Ningqing also put away the good fortune spirit spear, and looked at Xingxi with a cold gaze. There are many fragments here. Do you think I'm related to you? Why should I give you the fragment in my hand? Get lost. She was a peerless expert, while Ningcheng, a puny early-stage Dao integration cultivator, who only had a creation Dharma treasure, dared to tell her to get lost? At that moment, Xingxi's face turned pale, and her killing intent condensed into a substance. Ningcheng confronted Xingxi without any fear. It would be best if this woman attacked, and then everyone would attack together to drive this woman out of heavens beyond. Xingxi stared at Ningcheng for a while, but did not attack in the end. Instead, she took a deep breath and dispersed her killing intent. At the same time, she tried to slow down her tone and said, "Give me this fragment and I'll agree to one of your requests." Get lost. Don't blame me for making a move if you keep being long-winded. Ningcheng did not have a good impression of this woman. An Yi had been suppressed by this woman for countless years, and had almost died in her hands. He himself had almost been killed by this woman, so it would be strange if he had a good impression of this woman. Very well, remember what you said today. Xingxi shouted at Ningcheng sternly before retreating. Xingxi had always wanted this fragment, so Ningcheng already had some doubts in his heart. After Xingxi left, Ningcheng took out the fragment. As soon as the fragment was in his hand, an ancient aura of vicissitude spread. Amidst this ancient vicissitude, there was a trace of murderous aura. Ningcheng did not rush to melt this fragment, but rather penetrated it with his spiritual consciousness. Clang. A simple and desolate sound of a bell suddenly resounded within Ningcheng's sea of consciousness, causing Ningcheng's spirit to suddenly clear up, as his spiritual sense was blocked out from this fragment. Could it be that this fragment was once a bell-shaped magic weapon? Ningcheng's gaze swept towards the rest of the people. He found that most of the people here had already brought out their flames and started to melt the magical weapon fragments. Only that woman, Xingxi, was still glaring at him hatefully, clearly unwilling to give up. Ningcheng ignored this woman, and once again tried to penetrate the fragment with his spiritual consciousness. The ancient and vast bell sound once again fell within his spiritual consciousness. Although the sound of the bell was dang, it contained a kind of deep and vast sound of a drum. This was definitely not an ordinary magic treasure. In fact, it was not even a magic treasure that had not reached the Khanate level. Just a fragment of the bell had such an effect. How powerful was this magic treasure? Because of the previous experience of having his spiritual sense expelled, Ningcheng was already prepared when his spiritual consciousness penetrated the fragment for the second time. The ancient bell sound did not expel his spiritual consciousness again. Soon an ancient battle scene appeared in his mind. An ancient giant bell was suspended in the void, and the countless magic treasures in the surroundings were all bombarding this giant bell. Dang, dang, dang. The giant bell suddenly gave off a burst of bell chimes, which then rolled up thousands of Dao charm auras. Countless weapons bombarding the giant bell were knocked away, but the giant bell hit a wine pot head-on. Kacha! The sound of the Dao runes exploding could be heard. This wine pot simply couldn't withstand the pressure of the giant bell, and it shattered into countless pieces. The ear-shaped fragment in his hand didn't belong to the giant bell, but to the ear of the broken wine pot. So powerful, Ningcheng felt shocked. This giant bell was too powerful. What kind of bell was it? No, this bell felt very familiar. Ningcheng quickly remembered that he had seen this bell before. When he reached Dao unification in the slaughter world, he had seen traces of the battle between the giant bell and the good fortune azure lotus. The giant bell he saw just now was definitely the copper bell that had collided with the good fortune azure lotus. Whether it was the traces of the battle, or the Dao charm aura, it was exactly the same. At that time, he had thought about how great it would be if he could find this giant bell. Later, the remnant soul of the slaughter world took over his body, and he had forgotten about it after that. He didn't expect to see the image of this giant bell again today. At this time, he also understood why Xingxi wanted the ear of his wine pot. Because although the wine pot was broken, the ear recorded traces of the battle's Dao charm aura from the giant bell. Not only did it record the battle scene and the Dao charm aura, but it also contained traces of spirit techniques. Ningcheng couldn't help but secretly admire Xingxi's vision. It seemed that she could see through this pot's ear at a glance. She most likely wanted this pot's ear because she wanted the huge copper bell, which showed that Xingxi definitely knew about the power of the bell. If it weren't for his good luck and being close to the fragment, Xingxi would have taken it away a long time ago. Ningcheng tried to record all the auras inside the crystal ball. He tried several crystal balls in a row, but couldn't record anything on it. Ningcheng felt helpless. He knew that he was too weak and couldn't control all the traces of the Dao Charm aura on it. Xingxi wanted this giant bell, and so did Ningcheng. He put away the pot's ear fragment, walked up to He Lanfeng, cupped his fists and said, "Judge He, can I ask for another fragment?" He Lanfeng shook his head. "Dao friend Ning, although there are still some fragments, I can't give them to you. If you ask for two, it wouldn't be fair to the others." Ningcheng also knew that it was unlikely for him to get another fragment. Therefore he came here to try his luck. Since there were no more fragments, he had to admit defeat. He couldn't bear to melt the pot's ear fragment. This was the only clue to the huge bell. If he still wanted the bell, he couldn't lose this clue. The things recorded in the ear-shaped fragment looked simple, but in fact, the Dao rune attacks inside were different in every detail. "What, you got a treasure?" Yemo walked over. Ningcheng nodded. "I got a good thing. There's a huge bell magic artifact inside. I suspect I've heard of that bell." "Let me see the fragment," Yemo said. Ningcheng didn't hesitate. Xingxi was also suspicious. If he wanted to deal with Xingxi, he would need to join forces with Yemo. In that case, he might as well show it to Yemo. In the distance, Xingxi watched Ningcheng and Yemo talk, and her face grew worse. However, this kind of battle was only to determine the ranking. Whispering during the battle was allowed. If they came from the same realm, they could talk to each other. Yemo took the pot's ear fragment and scanned his spirit sense in. Soon his face had a sliver of shock and amazement like Ningcheng. After a while, Yemo gave the magic artifact fragment to Ningcheng. Yemo said quietly, "I suspect this is the East Emperor Bell, but this is too absurd." "East Emperor Bell?" Ningcheng looked at Yemo in confusion. Did Tian Muwen tell this legend to Yemo? He had thought about it too, but he also felt it was unbelievable. The East Emperor Bell was a true legend, but he wasn't in the legend. He was in the vast universe. But other than the East Emperor Bell, what magic artifact could stop the Fortune Green Lotus? "No need to doubt, I'm the same as you. I came from Earth." Yemo patted Ningcheng's shoulder and sighed. "You came from Earth this?" Ningcheng didn't dare to believe it, but just like what Yemo said, this was too absurd. He believed Yemo wouldn't lie to him. Was Yemo also taken away by the Fortune Golden Page? No wonder when she saw Yemo today, she seemed to treat him differently. Yemo said heavily, "We'll talk about this later. I heard Yemo say that Earth is enveloped by an extremely precious time law world. This law world is far more precious than you and I can imagine." Ningcheng knew about the world of laws. He had heard Songwei talk about it in the past, about the various worlds of laws within the void. The larger time law worlds were the most precious. "Sect leader Yi, I've decided to quit the battle. You can forge first. We'll talk about other things after you finish." Ningcheng didn't know what Yemo wanted to say, but now that he decided to quit, he couldn't waste Yemo's time. Yemo nodded and continued, "When I heard He Lanfeng's question, I felt something and saw the path to the third step. The second creation war is about to come. I'm going to go back and take away that law world on Earth. Then, I'm going to go to a place as fast as I can and reach the third step. This will probably take some time. I don't know exactly how long it will take. So after the battle, I'm going to leave." Ningcheng subconsciously glanced at Xingxi. If Yemo left, even with Xiao Xinxi and Aoken's help, he was far from a match for Xingxi. Yemo knew what Ningcheng meant. "Don't worry about Xingxi. This woman might leave immediately after I leave because she knows that place too. Although she succeeded in creating a realm, today's question will make her realize that that place can also allow her to merge her realm." Yemo stopped here. Xingxi didn't even wait for the battle to finish, and just tore open the void and took that Xu Chang away. She came and left quickly. Chapter 1352. Seeing Xingxi leave, Yemo's face changed and gave the magic artifact fragment to Ningcheng. This woman doesn't have that law world. It's useless even if she goes first. But I can't waste time, this is for you. When I'm not here, remember to look after the Divine Tao sect for me. Then Emo quickly said goodbye to the judges, and left through the space formation door. Ningqing knew very well that not only did this question enlighten him, but it also enlightened Emo and Xingxi. He didn't know where the great Tao land they were fighting for was, but his power was too weak. He didn't have the right to go in yet. Looking at the magic artifact fragment in his hand, Ningqing sighed. If it wasn't for the Gate of Fortune, he and Emo might be best friends. But as long as the Gate of Fortune opened, there would be a battle between them. Whether it was him or Emo, it would be hard for them to let go of cultivation. Casting these thoughts aside, Ningqing's eyes fell on the magic artifact fragment. He felt something was wrong. The magic artifact fragment was clearly a piece of material. Although it wasn't completely purified, it had degenerated into a material. At this moment, Ningqing realized what Emo meant. Emo knew he didn't have the magic artifact fragment to purify, so he gave it to him. With the restoration of the magic artifact fragment, as long as he worked harder, it would be no problem for him to get first. It was because of this that Emo told him to take care of the Divine Tao sect. Clearly, Emo didn't want to take advantage of him. Ningqing didn't keep purifying the magic artifact fragment. He needed to learn these things. He had plenty of magic artifact fragments in his storage ring. Judge He, this is the Divine Tao sect leader Yemo's purified fragment. He left due to an urgent matter, and asked me to hand it over. Ningqing didn't want Yemo's result. Even if he didn't participate in the next 2 rounds, he could get a realm domain from heaven beyond heaven with his result in the first round. Okay, I'll remember it. He Lanfeng nodded and put away the fragments of materials that Ningqing had given him. He already saw it when Emo gave it to Ningqing. Of course, if Ningqing didn't say Emo gave it to him, he wouldn't point it out. The time taken for the weapon duel was much longer than the pill duel. It took a full 3 days before the second round of the weapon duel ended. Below the stage, Ningqing looked at the contestants using 3 days to restore some materials, and couldn't help but sigh at Yemo's power. Although Yemo's magic artifact fragment was far from being turned back into a material, it had a direction to go. Compared to the many participants who had only refined the remnant restriction Tao runes and refinement traces, it was much stronger. How much time had Yemo used to do that? And these contestants used a total of 3 days. He Lanfeng collected all the magic treasure fragments, and the 7 judges began to evaluate them. Because no one was able to completely restore the original material this time, there was a lot more time to judge. Another half a day passed. After Tao Lord Mountain gazing, and the others returned to the judges' seats, He Lanfeng carried the 3 jade plates, and walked to the center of the competition platform. The spectators below the stage were all excited. Everyone knew that the result was out. He Lanfeng pointed at the 3 jade plates and said, "The results of the second round are out. Third is 3 Essence Realms Qi Cheng Shui Dao Friend. Second is 9 Heavens Realms Yi Qianling Dao Friend, and first is Divine Dao Realms Yemo Dao Friend." Unlike Fei Yin, who was hosting the competition, Lanfeng not only announced the top 3, but also the domains where the top 3 were located. The materials that the 3 people had restored were suspended above the battle stage. At this time, the restriction on the battle stage had been completely opened. Anyone could see the degree of restoration of the 3 fragments with their spiritual consciousness. Ningqing also saw the degree of restoration. Whether it was Qi Cheng Shui or Yi Qianling, they only managed to strip off the Dao Wave Qi and restore part of the material's properties. He was still far from being able to restore it. Yemo's magic artifact not only restored most of the material's properties, but also gave people a path to follow. Following this path, one could restore the material's original form. Seeing this, Ningqing's heart moved. He finally understood the value of Yemo's magic artifact. Yemo gave him this magic artifact fragment, not only to let him get a ranking, but also to strip away his Dao Meridian. According to this degree of restoration, as long as one was given time to comprehend, anyone could slowly touch a trace of the great Dao aura within. Ningqing also guessed why Yemo was so generous. Other than him and Yemo both coming from Earth, It was probably because he saved Yimo a few times, and was using this to express his gratitude. He didn't say this gratitude out loud, but it was even more beautiful. At this moment, Qi Qingshui and Yi Qianling were already on the stage. Ningqing didn't hesitate and quickly landed on the stage. Yimo's magic artifact couldn't fall into other people's hands. At the same time, he wouldn't try to learn the Dao marks Yimo left in the material. Since he was going to fight at the Gate of Fortune, he would rely on his own power. Touching someone else's Dao Qi, and then using such means to fight was indeed more likely to win. But Ningqing didn't want to do this. If Yimo was his mortal enemy, he wouldn't mind using such means. Yimo clearly wasn't. Doing this would betray his Dao heart. Dao friend Ning, can you sell this material to me? Yilanfeng suddenly asked. Ningqing shook his head and spoke with a smile. I cannot hand over this material, I'm really sorry. Handing it over was the same as revealing Yimo's Dao. It wouldn't affect Yimo much, but it would lower the value of this material. An item of this level was too worthless to be casually handed over. Ningqing planned to give it to Yimo's daughter. The reason he didn't say it was to make people think he had the material. Ningqing believed that Yimo already knew he wouldn't give it to someone else. He had only teamed up with Yimo a few times, and they both knew what sort of person each other was. Yilanfeng seemed to know his request was too much and smiled awkwardly to Ningqing before saying, the second round is over. Now it's the third round, Rune Battle. The Rune Battle will be hosted by Harmless Realm Dao friend Shinemo. Shinemo landed on the stage. This was a very scholarly-looking man. Despite only being Spirit Realm primary stage, Ningqing felt the power of the void from him. This is a top-notch powerhouse, Ningqing thought to himself. Although Yilanfeng's state was a level higher than Shinemo, he might not be a match for Shinemo. Ningqing knew that Yimo had signed up for Pill Battle, Forgery Battle and Rune Battle. Now that Yimo wasn't here, he gave up on the Rune Battle. Shinemo saluted with his fists. Dao friends, I'm Shinemo from Harmless Realm. There are 671 contestants this time. I'll be the host. The rules of the competition were also very simple. Everyone had to prepare their own materials, and whoever refined the talisman with the highest grade and value would be the winner. Now, I announce the start of the Rune Battle. Contestants, please go on stage and make your own rune. The time limit is 4 hours. The rules were simple indeed. It was like comparing who was more talented. Take out your bank card, and whoever has more money in the card is more talented. This kind of rune battle depended on materials the most. It could be said that as long as one had precious materials, with the rules of the competition, even if one was slightly weaker, it was still possible to win. This had nothing to do with Ningqing. He didn't participate in the rune battle at all. Ningqing didn't study runes much. After entering the cosmos, his main focus was on Formation Dao, Forgery Dao and Pill Dao. He felt that the most complicated and mysterious was Formation Dao. Seeing the hundreds of people on the stage, he felt that Rune Dao wasn't any weaker than Formation Dao. Those talisman refinement masters were able to draw out mysterious Dao runes with just a lift of their hands. And this was similar to when he was refining and carving array foundations. Ningqing's eyes soon fell on one of them. It wasn't that this person was better at rune forging than others, but he knew this person. It was Nianyan, who had disappeared for a long time. He didn't expect Nianyan to appear here. Ningqing had seen Nianyan's Pill Dao and Formation Dao. Back in Great Change Realm, Nianyan's Formation Dao was probably a little stronger than his. He didn't expect Nianyan to be a rune master. Since Nianyan was here, he wondered if Sun Hanrui was well. Since Nianyan was here, why didn't she look for him? If Nianyan wasn't refining talismans, Ningqing would have gone over to ask. Boom boom boom. An hour passed quickly. Just as Ningqing was guessing that Nianyan was refining the talisman in her hand, he heard bursts of Dao runes roaring in the void. Not only Ningqing, but almost all the people on the Heavens Beyond Square also looked at the void. Immediately, everyone's eyes focused on a talisman suspended in the void above the battle stage. This talisman was gray but filled with powerful Dao rune law aura. Ningqing sucked in a breath of cold air. In just an hour, one could refine a talisman that could trigger the roar of heaven and earth's Dao runes. How powerful was the person who refined this talisman? How powerful was this talisman? Ning Cheng's eyes moved away from the talisman suspended in the air, and shifted to the person who refined this talisman. This was a man who looked extremely young. Judging from his appearance, he was even younger than Yi Zichen. The young man frowned and looked at the talisman above his head that triggered the roar of the void's Dao runes. He seemed to be very dissatisfied. Chapter 1353. Before the rumbling Dao charm in the void completely disappeared, the young man raised his hand and grabbed the talisman suspended in the void. The young man grabbed the talisman, and the void returned to its original appearance. Although Ning Cheng didn't know what kind of talisman this was, he knew that this young man definitely took first place in this talisman battle. Not only Ning Cheng knew about it, but all the talisman grandmasters participating in the talisman battle also knew about it. In such a short time, no one could refine this kind of talisman that could trigger the rumbling Dao charm of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng's gaze once again fell on Nianyan. Nianyan had also finished refining the talisman. As if knowing that Ning Cheng was looking at her, Nianyan's gaze swept down from the stage and fell on Ning Cheng. She smiled at Ning Cheng, nodded, and then retracted her gaze. Ning Cheng also smiled and nodded at Nianyan. He understood Nianyan's meaning. She wanted him to rest assured. 2 hours passed by quickly. Apart from the talisman refined by the young man that caused the rumbling Dao charm of heaven and earth, no one else could refine this kind of talisman that caused the rumbling Dao charm of heaven and earth. Dang, the bell rang, and Shen Mo flew down to the battle stage and spoke in a calm tone. The time for the talisman battle has arrived. Dao friends, please stop what you are doing and come down from the battle stage. Although Shen Mo's tone was calm, it carried a kind of surging aura. The few talisman masters who didn't stop for the first time shook their talismans and immediately turned into flying ash. It wasn't until this moment that everyone realized how straightforward this Shen Mo, who spoke in a calm and gentle manner, was. No one dared to stand up and express their disagreement. Ning Cheng knew very well that although there were many people participating in the talisman battle, in fact no one could really compare to Shen Mo in terms of cultivation. Thinking about his cultivation, Ning Cheng suddenly realized that he had overlooked something. That's right. It was the young talisman grandmaster who refined the talisman that caused the rumbling Dao charm of heaven and earth. Just now he didn't pay any attention to the other party's cultivation at all. All his attention was focused on the talisman that the other party refined. Ning Cheng quickly turned his gaze to the young man, only to find that the young man's cultivation seemed to change according to his thoughts. It was just like when he felt that this man's cultivation should not exceed the creation realm. The young man's cultivation seemed to be exactly the same as his. When he sensed that the man's cultivation should have surpassed the creation realm, the man's cultivation seemed to have immediately surpassed the creation realm. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. He knew that this was not because the other party's cultivation had truly changed, but because the other party had used a top-notch method to conceal their cultivation. This method of concealing one's cultivation was very likely to be the use of talismans. If it was really like this, then this fellow's strength would probably not be any weaker than his talisman Dao. Junior apprentice brother Ning, it's been a long time since we last met. Your progress is even greater than what I had imagined. From now on, I will have to call you senior apprentice brother, not junior apprentice brother. Ning Cheng was still secretly shocked by the means of that young man, when Nianyan's voice interrupted his contemplation. Nianyan felt very emotional. The last time she saw Ning Cheng, he was still a first-step cultivator, who had not even reached Dao transformation. How many years had it been? She was only at the mid-stage primordial chaos realm. But Ning Cheng's realm was higher than hers. She had been able to reach the mid-stage primordial chaos, because she had long been able to attain the Dao validation primordial chaos. However, she had never taken this step. This was the result of the accumulation of time. Sure enough, the person with the good fortune treasure was the master of this universe. Ning Cheng returned to his senses and quickly asked, Senior apprentice sister Nianyan has also made great progress. I'm just lucky. Nianyan knew that Ning Cheng was talking about luck because of the good fortune mysterious yellow bead. However, she still smiled and said, I've experienced many things in the void trial test over the years. I also know a little about the Good Fortune War. Maybe I will have to rely on you when that day comes. Ningcheng also guessed that Nianyan must have experienced many things over the years. Otherwise, she would not have come to heavens beyond of heaven and earth to participate in the talisman battle competition. Senior apprentice sister Nianyan, let's talk about this later. I wonder how junior apprentice sister Hanrui is now. Ningcheng had brought Sun Hanrui here. If he could not save her, he would definitely feel guilty. Nianyan smiled slightly. Big brother Ning, you can call me Nianyan in the future. Hanrui is fine. She is now cultivating in the Great Change Realm. When I came out, she had just entered the Celestial Scryer Realm. Hanrui returned to the Great Change Realm? Ningcheng asked in surprise. Nianyan nodded and replied, yes. After Hanrui woke up, she felt very scared because everything around her was strange. She felt very grateful when she knew that you had brought her out of the graceful star mainland. Although she did not say it, I knew that she had always wanted to return to the people she was familiar with. But later, when she came to the Great Change Realm, she gradually got used to it. Because the Great Change Realm's heaven and earth laws are very suitable for cultivation, she made rapid progress and decided to stay in the Great Change Realm to cultivate. I guess that after knowing about the Good Fortune War, she felt a little stimulated and wanted to improve her cultivation as soon as possible. Then she wanted to participate in it. Or, she wanted to help you. Ningcheng felt relieved. Although he knew that if he wanted to appear in the Good Fortune War, he could not just casually improve his cultivation. As long as Sun Hanrui had the motivation to cultivate, it would be good. As a starry sky cultivator, strength was the only criterion for survival. Nianyan, why did you come here to participate in the mysterious Yellow Heavens Beyond Realm Division competition? Ningcheng was in a good mood. Nianyan sighed. I've been looking for a way to reach the third step of Dao validation, until I went to Jiaoliang Mountain one day. On Mount Jiaoliang, I obtained some fortuitous encounters and learned some things. I also knew that my guess about the third step was not wrong. At that time, I knew that if I wanted to go further, I had to participate in the Good Fortune War. After knowing that you were also in the mysterious Yellow Heavens Beyond, I planned to stay there for a long time. Ningcheng smiled. It's easy for you to live in the mysterious Yellow Heavens Beyond. Although I only have one round of points, I'm sure that I can occupy a territory in the mysterious Yellow Heavens Beyond. After Ningcheng finished speaking, Nianyan said, I hope to win my place of survival by relying on my own strength. The reason I chose to fight talismans was because I knew that I would have a chance to get into the top 3. I didn't expect to meet such a powerful talisman grandmaster here. If I'm not wrong, this person is probably him. As Nianyan spoke, she looked at the young man who had refined the Dao Charm Roaring Sound talisman. Do you know him? Ningcheng looked at Nianyan in confusion. At the same time, he also understood what Nianyan meant. She was not related to him. Even if she wanted to stay in the mysterious Yellow Heavens Beyond, she would have to rely on her own strength. Nianyan nodded. I'm just guessing. I obtained part of Fu Lai's talisman refining inheritance on Jiaoliang Mountain. Besides Fu Lai, I also know that there was an extremely powerful talisman Dao expert called Gu Baoshan. Because Fu Lai's talisman Dao was too powerful, everyone remembered him as the #1 talisman Dao expert, Fu Lai. Naturally, not many people knew who the second person was. In the end, even if the talismans refined by Gu Baoshan leaked out, people said that Fu Lai had refined them. Gu Baoshan was furious and no longer refined talismans for others or participated in various talisman Dao competitions. This might be the tragedy of the second person, but I can see from the inheritance left by Fu Lai that this person called Gu Baoshan's talisman Dao is not worse than his. I suspect that the person who refined the Dao Charm Roaring Sound talisman is Gu Baoshan. Do you know what his cultivation realm is? Just as Ningcheng asked this question, Shen Emo stood on the stage and said, the results of the third round of the talisman battle competition are out. The third place goes to Tian Iha from Shuyi Realm, while the second place goes to Guanyuan Palace's Nianyan. At this point, Shen Emo subconsciously paused for a moment. In fact, it wasn't that there weren't any sects that participated in the competition, but they were all from some top-notch and powerful sections. He had never heard of this Guanyuan palace. Ningcheng had heard Nianyan mention her origin, Guanyuan palace. He also knew Tianiha, but he didn't expect that this creation realm expert from Shuyi realm was also a talisman Dao grandmaster. The third place goes to Heavenly Talisman Stars Dao Lord Burning Talisman. Even Shinemo felt that this name was a bit strange. A talisman Dao grandmaster, who refined talismans, named himself Dao Lord Burning Talisman. Nianyan whispered in Ningcheng's ear. I'm even more certain that this person is Gu Baoshan. He is very unhappy with Fu Lai. He thinks that Fu Lai doesn't live up to his name, and that the strongest talisman Dao expert should be him, Gu Baoshan. However, the truth is that Gu Baoshan doesn't have any color under Fu Lai's radiance. He named himself Burning Talisman. This talisman isn't an ordinary talisman, but Fu Lai's talisman. This person is a peerless expert. I really don't know how he survived the first creation war. Hearing Nianyan's words, Ningcheng looked at Dao Lord Burning Talisman in the distance and said softly. Nianyan also said in agreement. Yes, I know from the things that Fu Lai left behind that the first creation war was extremely tragic. Even a peerless expert like Fu Lai couldn't escape. This Gu Baoshan seems to be very strong. Could it be that he has a way to avoid participating in the first creation war? Nianyan's words came to an abrupt end when she saw Dao Lord Burning Talisman walking towards her, and Ningcheng. Burning Talisman stopped in front of Ningcheng and Nianyan, then looked at the two of them from head to toe. Then he looked at Nianyan and said, If I'm not wrong, you should have inherited your talisman refining technique from the unworthy Fu Lai, right? Nianyan said in a neither haughty nor humble manner. It's my own business who I inherited it from. Senior Fu Lai was able to traverse the universe for countless years, and leave behind an illustrious name for himself. There's naturally a reason for that. Living in this vast universe, under the impact of the rolling years, only those huge stones can leave traces. Some small gravel will eventually be drowned by the waves of time. In any case, Nianyan's inheritance came from Fu Lai, so she naturally wouldn't say anything bad about Fu Lai. Burning Talisman snorted coldly, and a powerful aura suddenly rose, pressing down on Nianyan and Ningcheng. Chapter 1354. Ningcheng took half a step forward as his Dao Rune aura swept up and blasted at Burning Fu without any scruples. Bam! The dull Dao Rune exploded and overflowed, setting off a violent aura. This guy was no weaker than Xingxi. This was Ningcheng's first thought. Burning Fu also looked at Ningcheng in shock. Ningcheng was only at the early stage Dao integration realm, but his strength was so terrifying. Although he was sure that Ningcheng had not hidden his cultivation level, he also suspected that Ningcheng had done so. The huge impact caused by the collision of their Dao runes immediately alarmed the surrounding people. When everyone's eyes gathered, Burning Fu snorted and didn't continue to cause trouble for Ningcheng and Nianyan. Instead, he turned around and left. He had come here late for the same reason as everyone else. It was because of the birth of the good fortune indestructible axe. Unlike ordinary people, Burning Fu had guessed that the second creation war was coming after hearing about the good fortune indestructible axe. After coming to Heavens Beyond, he had also heard that Ningcheng and Yemo were very strong, but he hadn't seen them fight. To him, after the first creation war, pseudo-realms and pseudo-daos were everywhere. Ningcheng and Yemo were very strong, but he really didn't take them seriously. This time he had a silent fight with Ningcheng, which made him vigilant. Ningcheng was indeed very strong, and those pseudo-daos couldn't compare to him. Although he didn't continue to fight, he remembered Ningcheng. If Burning Fu continued to fight with Ningcheng, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze and the others would definitely help Ningcheng. Now that Burning Fu didn't fight, no one would say anything about what happened just now. After Shen Mo announced the top 3 of the rune battle, the battle formation battle began. Mi Ruan of the Three Essence Realm was in charge of the battle formation. She was at the Unity Realm. Ever since Yi Mo killed Mu Qiangjue of the Heavens Beyond Realm, she had been extremely low-key. Mi Ruan landed on the competition platform and nodded at Ningcheng before saying, Fellow Taoists, I'll be presiding over the 4th round of the Heavens Beyond Realm Division competition. There are a total of 831 Taoists participating in the battle formation battle. The rules are very simple. We'll set up a trap-killing array this time. Whoever walks out of the trap-killing array first will be first. The killing power of this trap and kill array is very strong, and it is very likely that you will die in it. If you don't want to participate, you can withdraw now. Just when everyone felt that the rules of the competition were very simple, Miwan spoke up once again. Remember, there is another more important rule of the battle array, that is, any participant in the trap-killing array can use their array Dao to attack. As long as you can trap your opponent with your array formation, you can walk out of the trap and kill array first. You will also be the winner. You must use formation Dao methods. If you use other methods, you will be expelled from the competition and lose your qualifications. Miwan said it very casually. Everyone knew that this rule was not only simple, but it was also bloody. Under these rules, it was normal to be killed during a battle. Previously, everyone thought that there would only be killing when it was time for a battle of magical powers. They didn't expect that even before a battle of magical powers, there would be killing in a battle of formations. This was the same as the first round of the slaughter pill battle. The only difference was that the slaughter pills on the stage were replaced with people. Ningqing couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Although he did not set the rules of the competition, he could see from the rules of the competition that life was the least valuable in the eyes of these starry sky cultivators. Only strength could bring dignity, and only strength could win respect. Fortunately, he did not sign up for the battle array. Ningqing didn't like this kind of meaningless killing in the competition. If it was for a territory, then his points were more than enough to get a piece of it. The trap and kill array on the battle stage had already been set up. All the participants knew that the real threat to them was not the trap and kill array, but the array Dao powerhouses participating in the battle array. After everyone stood on the battle stage, Miwan raised the array flag in her hand and spoke. The battle array competition starts now. After saying this, Miwan directly dropped the array flag in her hand. After Miwan dropped the array flag, the entire battle stage immediately filled with a trap and kill aura. At this moment, not only could the participants not see the scene outside the battle stage, but even the spectators could not see the scene inside the battle stage. In just half an incense stick worth of time, the trap and kill aura on the battle stage grew even more intense. Dao charm explosions and law collisions continuously overflowed from the trap and kill array. However, these fluctuations were all blocked by the array formations set up by the 7 powerful judges, and could not overflow. Half an hour later, not only did no one come out of the trap and kill array in the middle of the battle stage, but even a bloody mist burst out from the middle. Everyone sighed. This dish truly was a real trap and kill array. The trap and kill array itself was not difficult to open. What was difficult was that everyone participating in the battle array wanted to be the first to come out of the trap and kill array. If the trap and kill array only had one exit, then the person who wanted to come out of the exit would have to kill the person competing with him or block the exit. Bang! Bang! 2 participants covered in blood were thrown out of the trap and kill array. Everyone knew that it was not the 2 of them who won the first and second place. Instead, the 2 of them had violated the rules when others attacked them with their Dao of array formations, and used spirit techniques or weapons to resist. Ningqing did not think that this was a bad thing. At least there was a way to escape from the trap and kill array if they could not stay in it. A few more people were thrown out. Ningqing did not continue to watch the battle, but looked at Burning Talisman who was walking towards him warily. Burning Talisman did not talk much after exchanging blows with him. What did this guy mean by looking for him again at this time? Ningqing also knew that he was not Burning Talisman's opponent. However, this was heavens beyond, so he was not afraid of this guy. Daoist Ning, if you don't mind, we can find a place to sit down. To Ningqing's surprise, Burning Talisman did not make a move this time. Instead, he spoke to Ningqing warmly, which was completely different from his previous attitude when he left. Daoist Gu, if you have anything to say, just say it here. I believe that no unrelated people will hear it. While speaking, Ningqing raised his hand and drew a soundproof restriction. You really know who I am. Burning Talisman glanced at Nianyan next to Ningqing in surprise as he spoke. Obviously, he had also guessed that Ningqing knew who he was not because Ningqing knew him, but because Nianyan, who was next to Ningqing, knew him. Seeing that Ning Cheng did not answer him, Burning Talisman pointed at Nian and said, "Let her go out through the soundproof restriction. I have something to talk to you about alone." When Ning Cheng had set up the soundproof restriction just now, he had also isolated Nian. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. "Nian is my friend. There is nothing worth hiding from her about the matter between you and me. If Daoist Gu is willing to say it, please say it. If not, I'm sorry that I can't accompany you." Although Ning Cheng's tone did not sound strong, his words obviously did not allow Burning Talisman to question him. When Burning Talisman heard Ning Cheng's words, he did not seem to care and did not ask Nian to go out. Instead, he said directly, "Daoist Ning can call me Burning Talisman in the future. I have long forgotten my original name. If I'm not wrong, Daoist Ning should have a big opportunity. Otherwise, you would not have been able to clash with my aura at the Dao integration realm." Ning Cheng suddenly frowned and said in a stiff tone, "Daoist Ran, whether I have a chance or not is my own business. The way you speak makes people dislike you. Just like Daoist Ran, if you did not have a chance, would you have been able to refine a talisman that could trigger the rumbling of the laws of heaven and earth in such a short time?" When Burning Talisman heard Ning Cheng's words, he smiled proudly. "The reason why I can refine talismans that can trigger the rumbling of the laws of heaven and earth is not because of any external force or opportunity, but because of my incomparable perception and aptitude. Of course, that's why everyone in the universe knows about your talisman refining skills." Ning Cheng said sarcastically. Contrary to Ning Cheng's expectations, Burning Talisman did not refute Ning Cheng's sarcasm. Instead, he was at a loss for a moment before changing the topic. "Daoist Ning, if I'm not wrong at your level, you should know that the second creation war is coming, right? Maybe you don't care about it and think that the creation war is still far away from you. But let me tell you, with your current strength, once the gate of good fortune opens and the creation war begins, the vast Dao charm that would rush out of the gate of good fortune would forcefully push you to the creation realm." This time, Ning Cheng did not ridicule Burning Talisman. He felt that Burning Talisman was right. With his understanding of the creation war and the gate of good fortune, this was indeed a possibility. Fortunately, he still had a few fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe on him. As long as he did not take them out, the gate of good fortune would not open. Burning Talisman saw that Ning Cheng seemed to be listening to his words, and spoke up with even more enthusiasm. "Do you know what a talisman powerhouse means in the creation war? I can tell you the truth. Without Fu Lai, at least 3 more powerhouses would have died that year. Although Fu Lai has a good aptitude in refining talismans, it's a pity that he chose to rely on the wrong person." Ning Cheng understood Burning Talisman's meaning. If Xiao Xinxi came to rely on him and hold on to his leg, then this Burning Talisman wanted to cooperate with him. Since it was a cooperation, then he would not position himself as a superior and subordinate. If only the first person to enter the gate of good fortune would become the winner of the supremacy position, then Burning Talisman would look for him to cooperate with him. Even if he killed all his competitors, the moment he entered the gate of good fortune, he would not be able to escape this person's murderous hands. As if seeing Ning Cheng's meaning, Burning Talisman suddenly spoke up. "You don't have to worry about me competing with you for the first position. At least, I won't compete with you until I kill all my opponents. I also know that I'm not qualified to get the first position. I just want to get the position that belongs to me. If you agree to cooperate, I will introduce you to a place. With your qualifications and opportunities, I believe that in less than 1,000 years, you can step into the third step and successfully create a world there. But I want to remind you that successfully creating a world on your own, and forcibly pushing your strength to the third step after the gate of good fortune opens, are 2 completely different things. One lives, the other dies. The first person came out." Ning Cheng was still thinking about Burning Talisman's words when a burst of cheers erupted. Apparently, the winner of the battle array competition had come out. Chapter 1355. Ning Cheng's gaze also fell onto the battle platform. The man who came out was dressed in white, had a handsome appearance, and did not have even a single speck of dust on his body. It was the complete opposite of those participants who had been thrown out by the trap and kill array and were covered in blood. This is a powerhouse. When I participated in the first Good Fortune War, I felt this kind of aura from many powerhouses. Burning Talisman, who stood next to Ning Cheng, suddenly spoke up. How is his strength compared to yours? Ning Cheng looked at the man in white and suddenly thought of someone. It was the Hall Master of the Seven Deities Hall, Mo Gu, whom he had killed back then. Whether it was his mannerisms, demeanor, or arrogant gaze, this person was somewhat similar to Mo Gu. Ning Cheng knew that the other party was definitely not Mo Gu. He had personally killed Mo Gu, so he would never appear here. Moreover, Mo Gu's strength was definitely not as strong as this white-robed man. Mo Gu was at most a half-step creation realm, while this person's strength probably far exceeded the creation realm. Burning Talisman said indifferently, his strength is naturally inferior to mine, but his array Dao is extraordinary. When the creation war begins in the future, I reckon that he will cause you some trouble. Burning Talisman's understanding of Ning Cheng was only limited to rumors. He didn't know much about Ning Cheng's Dao of arrays. When he spoke up to hear, Burning Talisman suddenly chuckled. Moreover, he's extremely ruthless, and the lives of others are probably even inferior to ants to him. Ning Cheng understood the meaning of the Burning Talisman, as he looked at the Burning Talisman in disbelief. No matter what, cultivating the Dao was also cultivating the mind. Killing was only done as a last resort, or when someone offended you. If it was as Burning Talisman said, then it was simply unreasonable. Burning Talisman knew that Ning Cheng understood his meaning, and spoke up in a calm voice. This person's attainments in the Dao of arrays completely surpassed the entrapment and killing arrays arranged by the judges. Moreover, none of the participants within the entrapment and killing arrays could affect him in the slightest. The reason why he didn't come out until now was because he wanted to kill someone in the trap and kill array. If my guess is correct, after this person comes out, the second and third place will come out in less than an hour. When the competition ended, the number of people participating in the battle array would probably be reduced by at least half. Most of the missing people were killed by this person. As soon as Burning Talisman's voice fell, another two people rushed out of the stage's trap and kill array. Even though the two of them had charged out with their own strength, the Dao runes on their bodies were somewhat scattered. There were also traces of blood qi around them. It could be seen that Burning Talisman's guess was not wrong at all. Ning Cheng took a deep breath, as his eyes once again fell on the white-robed man who was the first to come out. The white-robed man had his hands behind his back, and his eyes were calm, as if he had not experienced anything at all. The two men who came out from behind also looked at the man in white with some fear, and walked a little further away. The fourth round of the battle arrays competition has ended. After the top three were decided, Mirwan quickly threw out the array flags and announced. Obviously, she also knew that something had gone wrong in this competition because of the man in white. Since it was a battle formation, damage was inevitable. Just like that white-clothed man who treated killing as a hobby, it was simply infuriating. The trap and kill array on the stage was removed, leaving only a few hundred contestants in a daze. The number of people alive was not more than half of what Burning Talisman had guessed, but less than half. Everyone was silent when they saw this. As a cultivator, they were already indifferent to life and death. But in this short period of time, there were less than 400 people left out of the 800 people. This was simply a slaughterhouse. Those who did not participate in the competition also felt a sense of sorrow. If they had lost in the battle array, it would have been fine if they were trapped and killed. However, they did not lose in the battle array, but to be killed by a person who took pleasure in killing. This beast's murderous nature is too heavy. It's simply killing for the sake of killing. With his murderous nature, he can't step into the gate of good fortune. Xiao Xinshi stared at the man in white standing in the middle of the battle stage and spoke with disdain. Maybe he can't step into the gate of good fortune, but with his strength in the Dao of arrays, he can play a big role in the great war of good fortune. Burning Talisman retorted. Ning Cheng suddenly had a feeling in his heart that this man in white really had a heavy murderous nature. There seemed to be a little unreasonable reason for him to kill people. This person also has a purpose for killing people. He blocked the exit of the trap and kill array. He thinks that the first contestants to reach the exit are the ones who might stand out in the Tao of Arrays. In order to reduce the number of people who might pose a threat to him in the Tao of Arrays in the future, he wantonly killed those experts in the Tao of Arrays. The few people who were teleported out of the trap and kill array probably used some special means and had better luck. Ningyan spoke up from the side. She spoke out Ning Cheng's thoughts. Aokin sucked in a breath of cold air. There are so many experts in the Tao of Arrays in the world. Can he kill them all by himself? Maybe for him, killing one is one less. Ningyan finished speaking and subconsciously glanced at Burning Talisman standing on the side. Burning Talisman frowned and said, "What are you looking at me for? No one can match my talisman Tao. Even if more talisman experts come out, I don't think that they can surpass me and kill them. If I don't have confidence in myself, why would I do such a thing?" In this world, the strong were respected, not to mention in the battle array. Before the battle array, the rules were also announced that one was responsible for one's own life and death. Now, no matter how many experts in the Tao of Arrays fell, no one would dare to stand up and say anything. Miruan seemed to be in a hurry to end the battle array. She quickly stood on the battle stage and announced, "The 4th round of battle array ends here. Now, I will announce the rankings. The 3rd place goes to Zhuofeng of the 7 Aqua Realm, and the 2nd place goes to Jiamuyu of the Degree Desert Realm. The 1st place goes to Mo Zhou of the 7 Deities Temple. Congratulations to the 3 Taoists." Ning Cheng's heart sank. 7 Deities Temple? That was not a sect in the Great Change Realm. He had killed the Lord Temple Master of the 7 Deities Temple, Mo Gu, and the 7 Deities Temple had long been annihilated. Why did another 7 Deities Temple appear in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth? Moreover, Mo Zhou and Mo Gu were so similar? If Mo Zhou had not been far stronger than Mo Gu, Ning Cheng would have thought that Mo Gu had not been killed. Instead, his principal spirit had escaped, and then found someone to possess him. In fact, Ning Cheng knew that this was absolutely impossible. The Tao of Arrays was not something that could be improved through possession. Perhaps Mo Zhou was from Moge's clan. Ning Cheng did not know if this guy knew that he had killed Mo Gu. However, from the beginning until now, this guy had not looked at Ning Cheng, so he probably did not know. No. Ning Cheng suddenly thought that if this person did not know Mo Gu, then how did the name 7 Deities Temple come about? Unless the Mo family was the 7 Deities Temple, and the Great Change Realm's 7 Deities Temple was a knockoff of Mo Gu. As Mi Ruan announced the end of the 4th round of the competition, the most important round of the realm division began, the Battle of Magical Powers. Before the start of the battle array competition, not many people would care even if they knew that the Battle of Magical Powers was the one with the most casualties. However, more than half of them had died in the battle array competition, which cast a shadow over the participants of the Battle of Magical Powers. This time, Tao Lord Mountain Gazing personally came to the middle of the competition platform. His gaze swept across Mo Zhou vaguely before he said in a loud and clear voice, "Fellow Taoists, there is still one last round of the Heavens Beyond Realm competition left, which is a battle of magical powers. I am Mountain Gaze from the Heavenly Gate Realm. This time, I will be presided over by Taoist Feng Huangmei from the Jiaoliang Realm and Taoist Liao Qianluo from the 9 Heavens Realm. Now Taoist Liao will announce the rules of the competition." Liao Qianluo took a few steps to Tao Lord Mountain Gaze's side and said with cupped fists, "Fellow Taoists, the division of the Heavens Beyond Realm this time is not only a competition, but also a grand event. This grand event allows fellow Taoists from various realms to gather in the heavens beyond, and allows us to see more experts from all sides. The rules of the Battle of Magical Powers are slightly more than the other competitions. There are a total of 5 rounds, and the first round is the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower." When Liao Qianluo mentioned the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, there were immediately some discussions below the competition platform. Some participants even looked worried. Ning Cheng wanted to participate in the Battle of Magical Powers, so he was naturally more concerned about the rules. Just as he was about to ask what the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower was, Aokin explained, "Big brother, the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower is one of the most terrifying training grounds in the Heaven's Gate realm. It is also a top-notch Dharma treasure, and has a total of 36 floors. I didn't expect Dao Lord Mountain Gaze to bring this thing here, as the first round of the Battle of Magical Powers. Although I have never entered this Thunder Tower, I know that there are all kinds of nomological divine thunder inside. There are even 5 elemental nomological thunder strikes. There are also some thunder strikes that go beyond the laws and are extremely strange. Those who enter the training grounds have to quickly exit when they can't hold on anymore. Otherwise, they will definitely die inside. In any case, the death rate of coming out of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower will not be as high as the Battle of Magical Powers. Ning Cheng had a general impression that he had a thunder-attributed spiritual root and cultivated a thunder-attributed spirit technique. Presumably, there shouldn't be any problems passing through the Thunder Tower. Since Dao Lord Mountain Gaze took out the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, it should be because he didn't want to cause a large-scale massacre. Liao Qianluo waited for the discussion to die down before speaking. Many people know that the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower has a total of 36 floors. As long as you reach the 9th floor and above, you can choose to quit at any time if you can't hold on. But below the 9th floor, there is no way to quit. If you can't rush through, only death awaits you. If you don't want to take the risk, you can quit. The first round of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower will select the top 10. These 10 people will proceed to the second round based on their ranking. The first place will fight against the 10th place, and the second place will fight against the 9th place. Finally, the top 5 will be decided. The top 5 in the third round will draw lots according to the rules. One of them will directly enter the top 3. The other 4 will fight in pairs, and the winner will enter the top 3. The top 3 in the fourth round will draw lots again, and the one who gets a bye will advance to the top 2. The last 2 will fight, and the winner and the one who gets a bye will compete for the first place. The loser will advance to the third place. Clearly, the rules of the tournament were still for the sake of a quick battle. There was no fairness at all. If one was lucky, maybe they could enter the top 2 as long as they participated in one fight. No one had any objections to the rules of the tournament. After Liao Qianluo finished speaking, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze directly brought out a tower. The tower fell in the middle of the battle platform, and instantly grew to a height of dozens of feet. It almost occupied the entire battle platform. The Dao charm of the tower flowed around it, and all kinds of law attributes fluctuated. Spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate it at all. There are 1,321 participants in this tournament. All participants, please enter the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower. The tournament will now begin. After Dao Lord Mountain Gaze brought out the Thunder Tower, Liao Qianluo announced the start of the tournament. Of the 5 rounds, the tournament had the most participants. From this, it could be seen that most Starry Sky cultivators had strong confidence in their spirit techniques. Chapter 1356. Many of the participants flew up the stage and quickly rushed into the Sky Gate Lightning Pagoda. Even though being the first to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower and being the last to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower didn't seem to make much of a difference. However, everyone knew that the dangers in the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower were not limited to the lightning arcs of the laws of the tower. What was even more dangerous was the human element. Indeed, after entering the Sky Gate Lightning Pagoda, as long as one charged to the 10th level, they would be able to teleport out at any time. However, this was something that happened after the 9th floor. There was no such opportunity in the previous 9 floors. After experiencing the battle formation, who knew if there would be such a pervert in the Sky Gate Thunder Pagoda, who would kill for no reason? The further they went into the tower, the fewer people they would encounter, and the safer they would be. Moreover, many people saw that Mo Zhou, who had won first place in the 4th round of the battle array, had also stepped onto the stage. In other words, he was also going to participate in the 5th round of the battle. Although no one said anything, every participant here was a shrewd person. They had long suspected that Mo Zhou was wantonly killing in the battle formation. Ning Qing didn't rush into the Thunder Tower. When he landed on the battle platform, he saw Mo Zhou also coming up. Mo Zhou looked at the many contestants entering the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, but did not rush in. Instead, he stopped and suddenly looked at Ning Cheng with a smile. Do you think I'll kill a lot of people later? When the Thunder Tower teleports these people out, Wouldn't it be less than half of them? Mo Zhou not only smiled at Ningcheng but also stopped and said something inexplicable to Ningcheng. Ningcheng spoke up in a calm voice. In the vast universe, powerhouses are like carps crossing the river. I'm afraid you won't be able to kill so many of them by yourself. Mo Zhou chuckled and didn't care about Ningcheng's cold tone. Instead, he continued. That's why I want to invite you to cooperate. Among all these people, you are the most pleasing to the eye. I have to thank you. You are a good person. Ningcheng frowned slightly. He didn't understand what Mo Zhou meant. This fellow spoke in a strange tone, which made him feel very uncomfortable. As Mo Zhou spoke until here, he suddenly moved closer to Ningcheng. Do you know how attractive that woman named Juinghua is? I loved every part of her body. If you hadn't killed that idiot Mo Ge, how could I have such a woman? Sigh, you're too generous. You didn't keep this kind of woman for yourself, but gave her to me instead. So shouldn't I be thanking you? Ningcheng's eyes suddenly turned cold. Juinghua's hatred towards him before she left was enough to form a death grudge between them. What puzzled Ningcheng was that, according to Juinghua's performance at that time, she should have had deep feelings for Mo Ge. In that case, how could she run to Mo Zhou's bed? Are you from the same family as that Mo Ge? Ningcheng's heart was filled with disgust. The reason why he asked this question was for his own good. He had no idea how strong the Mo family was. If it was too strong, he had to be prepared. Mo Zhou arrogantly looked at the competitors rushing into the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda and muttered, "A bunch of pigs." After muttering this sentence, he looked at Ningcheng and said, "That Mo Ge can be considered as my nephew. In this fight, I want to kill someone. However, this guy is very slippery. I might not be able to kill him alone. So, as long as you help, not only will the Mo family not know that you killed Mo Ge, but I can also let you enjoy Juinghua." Although Ningcheng was very unhappy with Mo Ge, Mo Zhou was even more disgusting. Mo Ge was very protective of his woman and cared about her with his life. As for this Mo Zhou, he was worse than a beast. Get lost. Ningcheng spat. He was too lazy to look at Mo Zhou again. He turned around and walked towards the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda. Even though Ningcheng had turned around, he gathered all his Dao Charm aura on the Creation Divine Spear. As long as Mo Zhou dared to attack him from behind, he would use all his strength to kill this person on the competition stage. What Ningcheng didn't expect was that not only did Mo Ge not attack, but he also smiled faintly and followed Ningcheng towards the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda without saying a word. Ningcheng became even more cautious. Dogs that bite don't bark. This person probably wanted to wait for him to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda before making a move. Ningcheng was the second to last contestant to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda, while killing frenzied demon Mo Zhou was the last contestant to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda. When Mo Zhou entered the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda, the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda emitted bursts of thunder. Then the entrance to the first floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda slowly disappeared. Thunder light lingered around the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda, forming a thunder curtain. As soon as Ningcheng entered the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda, endless thunder arcs bombarded him. However, these thunder arcs only had the strength of ordinary Dao sculpting cultivators. With Ningcheng's cultivation and body tempering strength, these thunder arcs had no effect on Ningcheng's body. The first floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda looked very vast. At least, Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't touch the edge. He also couldn't know where the stairs leading from the first floor to the second floor were. Ningcheng wasn't in a hurry to find the entrance to the second floor. He stopped and looked at the entrance to the first floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda. He was sure that Mo Zhou wanted to attack him. Since he wanted to attack, then he would fight to his heart's content on the first floor. At this moment, no cultivators appeared in the range of his spiritual consciousness. In just 2 breaths, Ningcheng raised his hand and threw out thousands of array flags. "I'll give you a chance. Die or work for me." Ningcheng had just thrown out the array flags when Mo Zhou's voice fell in his ear. It didn't even take 3 breaths of time. But at this time, Mo Zhou's voice no longer had the same casual and warm tone as before. Instead, it carried a cold, murderous intent. At the same time, Ningqing felt subtle fluctuations in the surrounding space. If it were an ordinary person, they would have thought that it was caused by Emozhou's killing intent fluctuations. Ningqing knew very well that this wasn't a killing intent fluctuation, but an array formation fluctuation. Moreover, it was a void killing array. Although Emozhou hadn't started yet, he had already secretly arranged a killing array. This fellow could silently arrange a killing array through space. From this, it could be seen that this fellow's Tao of arrays wasn't far from his. Ningqing raised his hand, and the good fortune divine spear appeared in his hand. Don't talk nonsense. Eat this father's spear first. The good fortune divine spear rolled up a spear pattern that completely enveloped Emozhou in the spear pattern space. A trace of sarcasm appeared on Emozhou's face as he said calmly, "Courting death." After he said that, a dazzling multicolored light flashed out. Following this multicolored light was a huge, luxurious, and beautiful chariot. Ningqing was very familiar with this chariot. It was Moge's Dharma treasure. Zhuanghua was really shameless. She was Moge's woman, and had said that she wanted to take revenge on him. Not only had she betrayed Moge, but she had also given Moge's Dharma treasure to Emozhou. Moge had used this chariot to simulate a false realm, and had almost killed him. At that time, if he hadn't had the 5-colored star-splitter arrow, Moge would have escaped. Even so, he had been poisoned in the end. The current Emozhou obviously didn't need to use the chariot to simulate a false realm. Emozhou himself was a third-step expert. His domain was a realm. As long as he was not careful, he would be drawn into Emozhou's realm. Ningqing was extremely careful when fighting third-step experts, regardless of whether the other party was a true realm or a false realm. After fighting with Moge, he had never fallen into the other party's realm because of this caution. Once he fell into the other party's realm, it was not up to him whether he could come out or not. The chariot didn't turn into a realm. Instead, it turned into an earth-shattering Dao rune blade flare and spatial binding force that blasted towards Ningqing. Ningqing knew very well that this chariot's attack was probably not even 1/10 of Emozhou's attack. This was because this chariot didn't belong to Emozhou, who definitely had his own Dharma treasure. What's more, Emozhou had just quietly set up a void killing array. Why would he rely on this chariot to deal with him? Sure enough, as the spatial binding force and the endless Dao rune blade flare swept over, the spatial laws around Ningqing instantly changed. Void cracks and spatial dislocations appeared in front of Ningqing. Even with Ningqing's spiritual consciousness, he knew that this was definitely not an illusion. In Ningqing's opinion, with Emozhou's strength, he probably didn't have the strength to create spatial dislocations and cracks in the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. These spatial killing intents were the void killing array that Emozhou had just set up. Once he was drawn into these cracks, it was very likely that Emozhou would take him into his spatial Dharma treasure. Within these endless spatial cracks, Emozhou's sneer rang out. A black and white spear light directly passed through the endless killing blades and spatial cracks and rushed towards Ningqing. This was his killer move. Ningqing snorted but didn't take half a step back. Instead, he took a step forward. Almost at the same time that Emozhou attacked, Ningqing stepped into the void that had begun to crack. The next moment, the surrounding space changed again, and the endless spatial cracks and displacements that swept towards Ningqing suddenly slowed down without any limit. When Emozhou brought out the black and white spear light, Ningqing waved his left hand, and an orange stone bridge appeared in the air. Dao runes surged over the stone bridge. It was old and rusty, and there was a huge millstone under the stone bridge. When the black and white spear light turned into endless killing intent and shot towards Ningqing, the millstone suddenly soared into the sky and wrapped around the endless killing intent. Ningqing once again stepped into the void, stepped on the huge black millstone, and pointed out with a finger. The law-breaking finger broke through the void and destroyed everything. The moment Ningqing stepped into the crack in the void, Emozhou immediately had a bad feeling. With Ningqing's reputation, he shouldn't have taken the initiative to rush into the crack of his void strangulation array. The only reason why Ningqing did this was that Ningqing didn't fear his void strangulation array. Just as he expected, his void strangulation array seemed to be confined by space. This was definitely a trapping array that was even more advanced than his void strangulation array. Was Ningqing an array Dao expert? Did he arrange a trapping array 3 breaths before he came here? After Emozhou understood this, his heart sank. He didn't expect that Ningqing's array Dao was stronger than his, but he didn't participate in the battle array. The 5th reincarnation bridge. If Ningqing's spatial imprisonment trapping array made his heart sink, then when Ningqing brought out the reincarnation bridge, the shadow in his heart grew even bigger. At this moment, Ningqing's law-breaking finger shot out after his yin-yang black and white spear light. Chapter 1357. Emozhou had killed countless people and experienced countless battles and crises. If he didn't care about Ningqing's spear light ripples before, then when Ningqing's entrapment formation and the 5th reincarnation bridge appeared, he already had a bad feeling in his heart. This was a kind of intuition formed from a long period of killing and battle. This kind of intuition of life and death had saved him many times. When Ningqing brought out his law-breaking finger, he immediately understood that Ningqing's strength wasn't any weaker than his own. The rumors about Ningqing's strength were not exaggerated in the slightest. Rather, there was even an element of reduction in his strength. Emozhou no longer wanted to use the yin-yang spear light to tear Ningqing apart, nor did he expect his void trap and kill array to bind Ningqing. The yin-yang spear light, at this moment, transformed into a huge Tai Chi yin-yang diagram, which stretched across the space between him and Ningqing. At the same time, the chariot that had transformed into a boundless space of blade radiance turned into a shield. The black millstone of the Bridge of Rebirth rolled up, and swept away the endless void cracks that had come to a standstill. The Dao runes of the black and white Taiji yin-yang diagram formed by Emozhou's yin-yang spear light were also frantically grinded away by the black millstone. Boom! The violent forces collided with each other. The Daoist rhymes exploded, and the lingering Daoist rhymes lingered in the air. The law-breaking finger easily tore apart the black and white Tai yin-yang diagram, and blasted Emozhou's realm boundary, which had fused with the chariot. Kacha! The domain shattered, and a blood arrow exploded in the Dao runes of the collision between the two divine arts. In just a few breaths of time, the surroundings quietened down. Under the influence of the law-breaking finger, the laws of heaven and earth in the surroundings instantly weakened. The luxurious chariot lost control and fell to the ground, but Emozhou disappeared. In the space where the two of them were fighting, there was still a faint smell of blood. The battle between the two came quickly, but it ended even faster. Back then, Ningqing and Emozhou had fought to the point of turning the sky dark. But now, it only took a few breaths of time for this Emozhou to end the fight. Ningqing raised his hand and put away the carriage, but did not feel much happiness. Emozhou's strength was similar to what he had imagined. In fact, he was not weaker than him at all. In fact, he was even slightly stronger than him. The reason he was able to injure Emozhou and flee in a sorry state, even abandoning his chariot Dharma treasure, was because he had the upper hand in every aspect. His trump card to defeat Emozhou was not the order-breaking finger, but his confinement array. His array Dao was stronger than Emozhou's. He had set up a trap array here in advance. This was his trump card. This was because this confinement formation restricted Emozhou's ability to attack. From the moment Emozhou used the void-killing array to deal with him, Emozhou was already at a disadvantage. Even with the confinement array, the 5th reincarnation bridge, the traceless spear pattern, and the order-breaking finger that had been set up in advance, Mizuri-Zhou was only injured and fled after abandoning his chariot. It could be seen that if he fought with Emozhou without any fancy moves, he would not have much of an advantage. The fact that he was proficient in array formations had already been exposed. The next time he faced Emozhou, this guy would probably be wary of him. The fight between the two of them had yet to truly end. In fact, it had just begun. On the second floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower, the white-robed Emozhou's face was a little pale. His pure white clothes were also splattered with blood. This made his expression even more gloomy, and his eyes became even crazier because of this. Since his debut, he had experienced countless killings, and the number of people who had died at his hands was innumerable. But he did not expect that he would eat such a big loss in front of Ningqing today. If he hadn't used a forbidden technique to escape, He might have lost his life here today. As for losing his chariot, it was simply a stroke of luck. Although Ning Cheng was on the list of people he had to kill, he now not only wanted to kill Ning Cheng, but he also wanted to torture him to death. If he didn't do this, he wouldn't be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. He also knew why he lost in front of Ning Cheng today. It wasn't that his strength was far inferior to Ning Cheng's. Instead, it was that he had miscalculated the effect of his void-killing array and Ning Cheng's array Dao strength. In his opinion, if Ning Cheng's array Dao really had a few tricks up his sleeve, then he would definitely participate in the fourth round, battle arrays. Entering the fourth round was a competition, and no one would dislike having fewer points. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to hide so deeply. Even though his array Dao was extremely powerful, he still didn't participate in the fourth round, battle arrays. This person knew that he would attack him, so he deliberately hid his array Dao to deal with him. I will kill you slowly. Mo Zhou looked back at the entrance to the second floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower again before quickly turning and leaving. Although he couldn't use his spiritual consciousness to scan the entrance to the upper floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower, there was a very obvious sign. That was, the place where the lightning arcs were denser was the entrance to the upper floor. Although he knew that it would be difficult to kill Mo Zhou here, Ning Cheng still quickly rushed to the second floor of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower. If Mo Zhou didn't kill him, then the threat would be too great. The lightning arcs on the second floor were much stronger than the first, but it still didn't have any use for Ning Cheng. Not only could these lightning arcs not cause any harm to him, but it also didn't make much sense for him to absorb the thunder source. Ning Cheng didn't see many people on the second floor. Obviously, those who could participate in the battle weren't simple people. The lightning arcs on the first and second floor couldn't stop anyone at all. Third floor, fourth floor. Ning Cheng reached the seventh floor in a very short time. The lightning arcs on the seventh floor already had a certain amount of power. White lightning arcs as thick as a baby's wrist descended, bringing with them a strong water-attributed aura. If the level of protection was slightly weaker, then even a Dao Essence Holy Emperor would be instantly killed. When these lightning arcs fell on Ning Cheng could clearly feel the fluctuations of the thunder source. In other words, if he was willing to spend a lot of time here to temper his body and cultivation, these lightning arcs would be of great use to him. On this floor, there were already a few contestants who found it difficult to walk. Most of these people had taken out their defensive Dharma treasures, and every step they took required a lot of energy. Ning Cheng sighed. Some of the people here would definitely be killed by the lightning arcs here. In the first 9 floors of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower, even if they couldn't pass, they wouldn't be teleported out. This was the cruelty of cultivation. Few people who entered the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower were below Primordial Chaos. Most of them were Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, and some were even Dao Integration Holy Emperors. Unfortunately, their cultivation techniques were related to their own attributes, so their resistance to lightning arcs was relatively weak. The reason why some people were trapped on the 7th floor was because they were too confident in their own strength. He was sure that none of the Primordial Chaos or Dao Integration Holy Emperors trapped here were from the Heaven Gate realm. The people from the Heaven Gate realm knew how powerful the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower was. They would rather miss the competition than come here to challenge the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower. Ning Cheng didn't care about these people. Instead, he sped up and rushed to the entrance of the 8th floor, which was filled with lightning arcs. Since he had chosen to enter the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower to participate in the battle, he had to be prepared to die. At this moment, the most important thing for him was to stop Mo Zhou. He wasn't afraid of Mo Zhou massacring everyone here, but he wanted to kill Mo Zhou here. If he used 6 of the 7 bridges, coupled with his order-breaking finger and 5-colored star-splitter arrow, he would most likely be able to kill Mo Zhou. Mo Zhou was a dangerous person. He was a killing maniac, and now he had a feud with him. With Mo Zhou's strength, he could even kill the entire Grand Change Realm or Grand Essence Realm. The only way was to kill Mo Zhou first. If he couldn't kill Mo Zhou, he had to return to the Grand Essence Realm immediately to repair the Grand Essence Realm and upgrade the Realm Protection Grand Array again. Dao Lord Ning, please save my life. A clear and slightly frightened voice came, and Ningcheng subconsciously turned his head. He saw an ugly woman looking at him with longing in her eyes. This woman was at the middle stage Dao integration realm. Ningcheng could feel that she wasn't weak, but her cultivation method couldn't resist the water-attributed white lightning arcs, so she was trapped here. If he did not lend a hand, this woman might very well perish here sullenly. Do you know me? Ningcheng frowned and looked at the ugly woman. He had some impression of Dao integration holy emperors as long as he had seen them before. He didn't have much impression of this woman, but he didn't doubt that she was lying. This woman did give him a sense of familiarity, but it was hard to explain. Dao Lord Ning is someone I admire. I've seen Dao Lord from afar once. At that time, Dao Lord also glanced at me, but I guess Dao Lord didn't care. The ugly woman barely resisted the lightning arcs while speaking with difficulty. Ningcheng didn't ask any more questions. He walked over and raised his hand. The Dao Rune domain instantly spread out. The protective domain blocked all the descending white lightning arcs. And in the blink of an eye, the woman was protected in his domain. Sensing that the endless lightning arcs had disappeared, the woman smiled at Ningcheng with a pale face and said gratefully, "Thank you, Dao Lord Ning. You don't have to thank me. I'll take you to the 10th floor. You can leave by yourself." Ningcheng waved his hand and quickly walked to the entrance of the 8th floor. The woman looked at Ningcheng's back in front of her, and shock flashed in her eyes. Ningcheng's cultivation was clearly lower than hers, but under the endless lightning arcs he walked as if he was taking a stroll without any urgency. She also knew that the reason why she couldn't block the white lightning arcs on the 7th floor wasn't because she wasn't strong enough. It was because the white lightning arcs were water-attributed, and one of her fire-attributed divine abilities was at a critical moment. As a result, she was suppressed by the water-attributed lightning arcs, which caused the circulation of her Dao runes to be blocked. Now that she was on the 8th floor, she would be fine if Ningcheng didn't protect her. Ningcheng didn't speak, even though he was walking extremely fast on the 8th floor full of lightning arcs. The woman clenched her fist, and a spark appeared in the palm of her hand. This was her most hidden spirit technique, and it cut through the sky. Her spark came from the mutation of the primal chaos fire seed. After the spark came out, it would turn into a very thin line of fire. This line of fire could even traverse the plane. As long as she brought out this spark, no matter how high Ningcheng's cultivation was, at such a short distance, he wouldn't be able to block the sneak attack of this line of fire. What's more, she and Ningcheng were still in the same barrier, which meant that as long as she sneak attacked, Ningcheng wouldn't have any room to defend. Chapter 1358. Ningcheng moved quickly in the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. He suddenly felt some regret in his heart. He shouldn't have said that he didn't agree to join forces with Mo Zhou. Against people like Mo Zhou, any means wouldn't be too much. He should have agreed to join forces with Mo Zhou, and then join forces with Mo Zhou's opponent to kill Mo Zhou. Unfortunately, he didn't know who Mo Zhou's opponent was. Even with Mo Zhou's strength, he still felt some fear towards his opponent, which showed how powerful that opponent was. The lightning arcs on the 9th floor weren't much stronger than the lightning arcs on the 8th floor. It just had some law lightning arcs. To Ningcheng, these law lightning arcs were a bit similar to his law-breaking finger. Anyone who walked in the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda would have to bring out a defensive weapon and fully stretch out a protective domain. Even Ningcheng was no exception. Whether it was a defensive weapon or a protective domain, they were all related to laws. These lightning arcs that could weaken laws could also directly reduce the protective weapon or defensive domain of the Dao charm of the Thunder Pagoda. The law-breaking spirit technique was one of Ningcheng's great spirit techniques. Moreover, he had a deep understanding of the various laws of heaven and earth. These lightning arcs that weakened the laws of heaven and earth still had no effect on him. The ugly woman standing behind Ningcheng felt even more shocked. She already knew that Ningcheng was very strong. Only at this time did she realize that Ningcheng wasn't just strong, but he was also strong to a terrifying degree. Ningcheng reached the 10th floor with his fastest speed. Although the lightning arcs here weren't as strong as the 9th floor, the attributes of the lightning arcs were even more unpredictable. Lightning arcs of various law attributes continued to fall. If a cultivator's attribute countered it, they would have to leave this place as soon as possible. From this, it could be seen that the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda's 9th and 10th floors were a watershed. You can leave now. As soon as he entered the 10th floor, Ningqing stopped and turned around to speak to the ugly woman. Ah! The ugly woman, who had been sheltered by Ningqing's domain, seemed to have recovered and subconsciously said, "We're already on the 10th floor." Yes. After Ningqing finished speaking, he put away his protective domain and turned around to leave. Without Ningqing's protective domain, the ugly woman quickly brought out her defensive weapon and called out anxiously, "Dao Lord Ning." Ningqing stopped and looked at the ugly woman before speaking with a faint voice. "Is there anything else?" The ugly woman bowed towards Ningqing. "Many thanks for saving my life, Dao Lord Ning." Ningqing waved his hand and spoke. "It's just a trivial matter. You don't have to worry about it. Goodbye." It's a small matter to Dao Lord Ning, but to me, it's a matter of life and death. Dao Lord Ning, I'm sorry. You rescued me. Yet I still wanted to plot against you. If you want to kill me, then please kill me. The ugly woman's tone turned calm, wanting to kill Ningqing for revenge. She knew that there was no hope for her in this life. More importantly, she suddenly understood the principle of good and evil. It was just a matter of standing on a different point of view. Once changed a point of view, perhaps the good in your heart is evil to others. To the guests, killing chickens and lambs was a sign of goodwill and hospitality. In the case of chickens and sheep, it is the malice of taking their lives. Chickens and sheep in the mortal world might not have intelligence, but in the cultivation world, any living creature had the opportunity to transform into a human. The reason why she felt that Ningqing was her enemy was because she had once stood on the opposite side of Ningqing. Today, she was grateful to Ningqing because Ningqing saved her and brought her to the 10th floor where she could escape. To her surprise, Ningqing did not get angry. Instead, he looked at her and said calmly, "Since I saved you, I won't kill you for no reason." After that, Ningqing's gaze fell on her right hand, and his tone was even calmer. "You should also be glad that you didn't do it. If you did, you would no longer exist in this world. I don't know who you are, and I don't want to know. From now on, you and I will have nothing to do with each other." Ningqing had the mysterious yellow bead, cultivated the origin cultivation method, and had 2 sacred flames. Although this woman's Mars level was high, it could not hide from Ningqing's perception. This woman still had a grateful heart, and did not make a move. Ningqing would not kill her like this. Moreover, he felt a trace of death from this woman, which showed that this woman had despair in her heart. He was not the kind of person who would kick someone when they were down. There was no need to argue with a woman who was prepared to die. "Ah!" The ugly woman screamed and subconsciously looked at her right hand. She really did not expect that everything was within Ningqing's expectations. If she had launched a sneak attack, then, even if she was prepared to die, the woman's heart turned cold. "Dao Lord Ning, you have to be careful of Mo Zhou. He will definitely kill you." Seeing that Ningqing was about to leave again, the ugly woman spoke again. Ningqing stared at the woman, and had a guess in his heart. He vaguely guessed who this woman was. Thinking of this, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at the ugly woman and said, "In fact, I have already fought with him, but the outcome has not been decided. In this Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, I will fight with him sooner or later." The ugly woman's heart turned cold. She bowed and said, "Dao Lord Ning should have guessed who I am. My name is Yu Xiangbing, the 4th Temple Master of the 7 Deities Temple. I am also Moge's woman." Ningqing nodded. "I know that you are either Man or Bing, but I don't know which one you are. Since the other party was Moge's woman, there was a reason for him to kill her. Not to mention that he had killed Moge, he had also killed the 6th Temple Master named He Shanli. He had saved Yu Xiangbing, but Yu Xiangbing still wanted to plot against him. It should be for revenge." Yu Xiangbing responded, "Sister Man is the 3rd Temple Master. Her real name is Sherman. Since we are enemies, we have nothing to do with each other. Please do as you please. You want to plot against me, but you are still too weak. This was the first time, and it was also the only time. Next time I will not show mercy." Ningqing wanted to ask about Zhu Hua, but thinking of the positions of both sides, he did not continue to make things difficult for this woman. From the fact that Yu Xiangbing had given up on attacking him, he could tell that she was not the kind of person who would bite the hand that fed her. Yu Xiangbing bit her lip and said, I changed my face and came in not to plot against you, but to kill Mo Zhou, that animal. Dao Lord Ning, please allow me to follow you. As long as I am on the same level as this animal, I am confident that I can find where this animal is. After knowing that Mo Zhou's strength was comparable to Ning Cheng's, she knew that without Ning Cheng's help, it would be impossible for her to kill Mo Zhou, even with a sneak attack. Upon seeing Ning Cheng look at her in confusion, Yu Xiangbing said angrily, Zhu Hua, that shameless slut, took us out of the Great Change realm, and said that she wanted to find someone to avenge Big Brother. In the end, she found Big Brother's family, the Mo family. At this point, Yu Xiangbing's hands even trembled a little, and her tone became even more urgent. What we didn't expect was that the first thing Zhu Yinghua did when she came to the Mo family was to get together with Mo Ji's uncle, Mo Zhou. That night they did something improper. Zhu Yinghua was shameless, but she also plotted against Sister Sherman, and made her sleep with Mo Zhou. Sister Man couldn't bear the humiliation, and committed suicide. When Zhu Yinghua wanted to do something to me, I took the opportunity to escape from the Mo family. So you came to Heavens Beyond and entered a fight because you wanted to kill Mo Zhou? Ningqing looked at Yu Xiangbing and asked slowly. Yu Xiangbing took a deep breath and shook her head. I know that my strength is too far from his. I want to take advantage of the time when he is fighting with others to use my sky-piercing slash to plot against him. Ningqing said faintly, fortunately you didn't do that. Given Mo Zhou's strength, you couldn't have plotted against him. Even. Ningqing paused slightly before he looked at Yu Xiangbing and said, even Mo Zhou knew that you came to Heavens Beyond. After saying that, Ningqing was speechless. Mo Gu had deep feelings for his concubines. He probably hadn't expected that after his death, his concubines would either die or betray him. Upon hearing Ningqing's words, Yu Xiangbing was stunned. Only then did she realize that what Ningqing had said was possible. Since you hated Zhu Yinghua so much, why didn't you kill her? Why did you choose to kill Mo Zhou? Ningqing asked again. A trace of sadness flashed in Yu Xiangbing's eyes as she shook her head. I know I can't kill her. Zhu Yinghua is too terrifying. I'm afraid that even Mo Gu doesn't know why she stayed by Mo Ji's side. I've never seen anyone as scheming as her since I started cultivating. In fact, in addition to the 7 temple masters, there was also a princess. Mo Ji's younger sister, Mo Hua. Once, Mo Hua said that Zhu Yinghua was a little different from the other 5 sisters. She went out and never came back. 7th sister and I suspected that Zhu Yinghua was the culprit, but Zhu Yinghua didn't go out at all. What do you think Zhu Yinghua means by Mo Zhou's side? Ningqing asked cautiously. He suspected that Mo Gu knew how powerful Zhu Yinghua was. Otherwise, why would Mo Gu say that Zhu Yinghua would avenge him and not the others before he died? Yu Xiangbing shook her head and then said, if she wanted to get some benefits and then kill Mo Zhou, then Mo Zhou definitely wouldn't be able to escape from this woman's hands. After saying that, Yu Xiangbing looked at Ningqing expectantly and said, Dao Lord Ning, Big Brother used to oppose you. I know that it's not wrong to stand on your side. I only ask for one thing from you. That is, allow me to follow you and kill Mo Zhou here. He defiled Big Sister Yan, so I will never let him off. Ningqing hesitated for a moment before saying, you can follow me, but you have to change your attire. Your attire is too obvious. After you change, I'll help you change the protective laws. Presumably, Mo Zhou won't be able to detect your existence for a while. As for killing Mo Zhou, I'll do it. You just have to do one thing and help me find Mo Zhou. Yu Xiangbing was an extremely beautiful woman. An extremely beautiful woman could disguise herself as an ordinary woman, but she could never disguise herself as an ugly woman. Yu Xiangbing's disguise skills were very good, but her disguise strategy was very poor. Chapter 1359. Starting from the 14th floor of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, Yu Xiangbing was frightened with every floor she ascended. The lightning arcs after the 14th level were no longer lightning strikes on the surface. Various law pressure and lightning arcs of various attributes poured down. If it weren't for Ning Cheng's protective domain, Yu Xiangbing would have doubted that she could hold on until she was teleported out. Ning Cheng's expression also turned cautious. Although he did not tell Yu Xiangbing about it, he believed that the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda definitely did not have 36 floors. The lightning arcs on the 14th level could already easily kill a Dao integration late-stage cultivator. If there were 36 levels, perhaps it could even kill a creation realm cultivator, right? Yu Xiangbing was also thinking about this problem. If they were to go according to this method, they would only be able to reach the 20th level at most before the experts in the Confluence realm would not be able to hold on. Dao Lord Ning, I feel Emozhou's aura. Yu Xiangbing's voice interrupted Ning Cheng's doubts. Ning Cheng didn't know how Yu Xiangbing sensed Emozhou's aura, but it didn't matter to him. What he cared about was where Emozhou was. Tell me where he is. I'll head over immediately. You teleport out immediately. Our cooperation ends here. I'm going to follow him and plot against him. Yu Xiangbing clenched her fist and said. There was a star flame in her fist. Ning Cheng looked at Yu Xiangbing and spoke in a light voice. With your strength, you would not be able to sneak attack him. Tell me the location. I will go find him myself. Before Xiangbing could reply, an intense spatial Taoist rhyme fluctuation could be felt. Ning Cheng had fought against Emozhou before. Therefore, as soon as he sensed this fluctuation, he knew that this person must be Emozhou. While Emozhou was fighting someone, Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared. This was the 14th floor of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower. Without the protection of his domain, Yu Xiangbing would at most be teleported out, and her life would not be in danger. Ning Cheng anxiously rushed over because he knew that Emozhou wanted to kill someone here. As for who Emozhou had killed, he did not know. He only knew that this person's strength was not much lower than Emozhou's. The higher the level of the Heaven Gate Lightning Tower, the stronger the isolation of one's divine sense. As Ning Cheng moved forward, he could only see a large number of lightning arcs sprinkling down. During this period, there were even huge bolts of lightning that fell one after another. Even such a terrifying lightning arc attack could not stop the intense fluctuations of Taoist rhymes from the battle. Ning Cheng easily found the two people fighting based on these fluctuations. One of them was Emozhou. Emozhou had already changed out of his blood-stained white robe. Even though he did not have the absolute upper hand, he was still suppressing his opponent. Emozhou's opponent was a man Ning Cheng had never seen before. His face was slightly purple, and his hair was casually tied behind his back without any kind of bun. This person's strength was not to be underestimated. There was a gourd above his head protecting his entire body, and when he attacked, there was a faint sound of wind and thunder. This kind of wind and lightning resonated with the wind and lightning of the Heavenly Gate Lightning Pagoda, forming a very strange balance. What made Ning Cheng even more shocked was that this purple-faced man gave off a kingly aura. His Taoist rhymes fluctuated with a powerful monarch aura. If not for the might of a sovereign personage, this purple-faced man would have been defeated long ago, not a match for Emozhou at all. Emozhou's weapon was the same as Ning Cheng's, a long spear. However, the path of his spear was completely different from Ning Cheng's spear Dao. Instead, it had a soul-stirring Taoist rhyme aura. Ning Cheng did not continue to pay attention to Emozhou. He looked at the purple-faced man and frowned slightly. He had never seen this purple-faced man before, but he was very familiar with the aura of this purple-faced man. It was the same aura he had when he went to the Absolute Beginning Realm to fight Dao Lord Chang Tian. At that time, Dao Lord Chang Tian used a spirit technique with a similar aura, with the might of a sovereign. However, at that time, Dao Lord Chang Tian used the Tai Chi Human King technique, which gave off this kind of monarch-like aura. However, this purple-faced man did not use the Tai Chi Human King technique at all. Just by relying on his own spirit technique in Taoist rhyme, he gave off a kind of monarch-like aura and oppression. This person was Kong Zai. Ning Cheng was sure of it immediately. He was sure that this purple-faced man was the Tai Chi realm's Kong Zai of the Five Grand Realms, which was also the Human King Dao Lord. At that time, Dao Lord Chang Tianzhu Chini once said that although he plotted against Kong Zai and snatched Kong Zai's Human King technique, He did not kill Kong Zai. This sentence meant that he snatched Kong Zai's human king technique, and another person plotted against Kong Zai and killed him. In fact, Kong Zai eventually escaped. Otherwise, he would not have seen Kong Zai here. It was better if it was Kong Zai. After all, Kong Zai came from the 5 Grand Realms. Regardless of the origins of the 5 Grand Realms, the 5 Grand Realms were still under the Jiaoyang realm. Kong Zai's offensive weapon was a long pen. Ning Cheng soon discovered that Kong Zai's long pen was no weaker than the Tai Chi Human King technique. After bringing out this long pen, each stroke brought with it a space-tearing Dao Charm aura. This powerful Dao Charm aura seemed to determine Emozhou's life and death. Emozhou could only face it head-on, and had no way to avoid it. Under this powerful Dao Charm attack, not only did Emozhou not get suppressed, but he also gained a slight upper hand. Every time he brought out his long spear, a black and white yin and yang aura swirled around it. However, this aura seemed to have the intention of restraining Kong Zai. Boom boom boom. Kong Zai and Emozhou's Dao Charm bombarded each other. Powerful Dao Charm explosions erupted at every moment. These Dao Charm explosions directly blocked the dense lightning arcs falling from the sky. Ningqing could clearly see that while Emozhou and Kong Zai were entangled, Emozhou continued to arrange the trap and kill array. Perhaps Kong Zai felt that Emozhou was arranging the trap and kill array, but he had no way to avoid it. Ningqing didn't continue to wait. He also threw out countless array flags. He didn't care about dealing with Emozhou. He couldn't wait for Kong Zai to die. Once Kong Zai lost, he might fall into the same predicament as Kong Zai if he wanted to deal with Emozhou. When Ningqing threw out the array flags to arrange the trap and kill array, Emozhou immediately became vigilant. If not for Ningqing's strength being no less than Emozhou's, and the cultivation method he cultivated was the good fortune origin cultivation method. Coupled with Emozhou being pinned down by Kong Zai, Ningqing suspected that Emozhou had discovered him. Even so, it aroused Emozhou's vigilance. The moment the trap and kill array was completed, Ningqing brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. At the same time, the 5-colored star splitter arrow locked onto Emozhou. The killing power instantly became even more violent. At this time, not to mention Emozhou, who was locked onto by the 5-colored star splitter arrow, even Kong Zai knew that someone was sneaking up on him. Not only did he not stop, but the long brush in his hand also drew one crisscrossing Dao Charm after another, trapping Emozhou. With his strength, he could naturally see that the person who sneaked up on him was attacking Emozhou and had nothing to do with him. With such a good opportunity, he naturally wanted to take advantage of it to kill Emozhou. The aura of death shrouded the area, and Ningqing's figure also clearly appeared amidst the bombardment of lightning arcs. A long black arrow was attached to a 5-colored longbow that was gradually being pulled back. The powerful killing intent and killing power came from this black arrow. As the 5-colored longbow grew rounder and rounder, the black arrow gradually turned illusory. Finally, it turned into a hazy 5-colored brilliance. 5-colored star splitter arrow. Emozhou looked at the illusory figure that had locked onto his Dao Charm aura in shock. "It's you?" He recognized Ningqing. The moment he saw Ningqing, he knew that his trap and kill array had no effect. Since Ningqing appeared here, he must have arranged the same trap and kill array around him. The purpose was to contain his trap and kill array. If he had to rely on his trap and kill array, he might have fallen into the same predicament as when he fought Ningqing for the first time. Originally, he planned to join forces with Ningqing to kill Kong Zai. But ironically, Ningqing and Kong Zai joined forces to kill Emozhou. Emozhou forcibly burned away the violent Dao Charm aura, and his hair turned gray in an instant. The next moment, his entire body turned illusory. Ningqing's eyes twitched slightly. He had brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow with his strength, yet he couldn't lock onto Emozhou. This person was simply too powerful. It really was a fluke that he could injure him before. Even if he couldn't completely lock onto Emozhou, Ningqing didn't wait any longer. The 5-colored star splitter arrow turned into nothingness and shot towards Emozhou with lightning arcs. In front of the 5-colored star splitter arrow, there was only a crack in the void. There was no distance between them. Gotcha! The trap and kill array that Ningqing hastily arranged made a cracking sound at this moment. After this cracking sound, a puff sound was heard, and a bloody mist rolled out. Half of Emojo's body was swept away by the 5-colored star splitter arrow, and turned into a bloody mist. But Emojo, with only half of his body, rushed out of Ningqing's trap and kill array and disappeared. Ningqing sighed in his heart. Even under such circumstances he couldn't kill Emojo. This fellow's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. A shrill scream rang out. Ningqing subconsciously looked in the direction that Emojo escaped. Then he saw a line of fire cutting through the sky. Ningqing immediately understood that Yu Xiangbing was hiding in that place and sneak attacked Emojo again. This sneak attack caused Emojo's injuries to worsen. Unfortunately, Ningqing knew that Emojo had escaped. Yu Xiangbing had risked her life to hide here and attack Emojo, but she failed to kill him. This kind of gap in strength couldn't be solved by a sneak attack. Yu Xiangbing knew that Ningqing had seen her. She cupped her fists towards Ningqing, and then directly teleported out of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower. Ningqing understood what Yu Xiangbing meant. In other words, he had saved her life. She knew that she couldn't seek revenge from him, nor could she seek revenge from him. This cupping of fists meant that the two of them would have nothing to do with each other in the future. Ningqing felt relieved. He wasn't worried about Yu Xiangbing but about Emojo. Emojo was severely injured. If he wanted to restore his current strength, it would probably take tens of thousands of years of secluded cultivation. He didn't have to worry about Emojo anymore. This woman is really patient. She burned her life to block the various lightning arcs of the Heaven Gate Thunder Tower, just to sneak attack Emojo. Unfortunately, she didn't succeed. Kongzai looked at the place where Yu Xiangbing disappeared and shook his head. After saying this, Kongzai cupped his fists towards Ningqing and said, "I am Ji Shu. Greetings, Dao friend. Thank you for your help just now." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.